is okay. Hey, Miss Nicole, I'm very, very surprised I can actually see more of the bottom half of your face.
It's warmer in here today.
Usually you're like this. So I am very, very surprised. So that's what you look like after all this time. You know, I thought for a minute your entire, I mean, hell, for as long as I've known you, I've only seen half your face most of the time. So I was starting to figure out how you're not, how you actually can sell something without a mouth. But I got it now. I can see that. So good to see everybody in Portland. Looks like everybody's here. Mark, you said that Jimmy had the blowout.
Yep.
Okay. So he's joining us on the link thing right now.
Yeah, I sent.
Out in Seattle, or I'm sorry, Salt Lake City. Cam, you're on, right, brother?
Yep.
Okay, and I know Jenkins is out of town. James texts me; he's joining us. He is, I believe, sick. Is that correct?
He's on.
Okay, yeah, we got a lot of strep and shit like that running around too. I know we got a couple. We got one out here in Seattle with strep throat and shit. So that time of the year. We're supposed to be getting some snow out here in Seattle here in the next few days, or over the course of the next few days. Let me see.
Because we're on the TV here.
I don't know. It was working last week.
Can you guys see the board okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead and do this. I hope everybody spent some time and looked over their notes. Let's go ahead and take out a piece of paper, close all your notes up. It is time to sit there and have our little bit test here. Little bitty test, easy test. This will be an easy test. The first question is going to be really simple. I need you to recite the first 40 words of the Gettysburg Address.
20 years ago.
That's the only thing anybody ever knows. Our fathers brought forth to this great nation, and that is it. Question number one is, what is step 4 called? Can everybody read that?
Yeah.
Number 2.
You might want black. You might want a black marker, Terry. It is a little harder to see.
Yeah, I'm trying to find something here that's darker, and apparently this is not working out too good. Hold on for a minute. They have 1,000 of these goddamn things in here, and none of them are wanting to work right. Just so you know, when I'm in your office, major pet peeve for Terry. He likes these things that'll be dark and work. I think that one might be the best. Let me get my eraser because I threw it at Cameron. Okay, let's try this one.
Okay.
What is step 2 called?
Somebody save the dog.
Step 3 is name the 3 closes. 4, what is the purpose of step number 2? Number 5 is, what does CPA stand for? Number 6 is, what is the hot button question? Number 7 is, what are the steps 1 through 4 in order? What are they called? Number 8 is, how long has Apex been in business? Number 9. Purpose of step 3. And 10, this is going to vary in answers for sure, from 3 feet to 10 feet, but how tall is Terry? Ah. Okay, not really.
This ain't no balloon height. It's more of a general assessment of what the skin tone and the height.
Yeah, well, when I walked in here, I gave these 3 fellows a hug here, and most of them, I come up to their belly button, so Riley and Alex over here swearing that I'm 2.5 feet tall at best, just so you know. And then, what's it?
Steps. I can't remember. Terry's in the way.
9 is, what is the, purpose of step 3, right?
What it, ask your question again?
It was.
Question number 9.
Number 9 is, what is the purpose of step 3? And then number 10 is, name one question that we ask in step 2. So I will give everybody about 15 minutes. Will that work? Can you guys answer all this in 15 minutes?
Yes.
Cool. When I say the purpose, not your own made up purpose, what we have in writing and what you have heard me say. In the meantime, this is an excuse for me to step outside, and I'm going to go get it and put another nail in my coffin. I'm going to trust.
You guys have my gloves on. Sorry. We don't want you to freeze, Terry.
Do what?
We don't want, I thought this is would be the temperature you like. Just a little bit.
It actually is. I just don't like to get wet. And these are actually mittens. They're not real gloves. They're like socks.
I want
Skinny.
to see the mittens with no fingers for you. I want to see you smoke with that.
Yeah, I got these off. When I pulled into the parking lot last night, somebody left their car unlocked and these were hanging around somebody's mirror, so I grabbed them.
It's nice.
The entry closes, right? I thought that's.
All right. Do not be cheating either, goddammit.
That's what I thought. Okay.
You guys, I'm not worried about. You look honest. Cameron, you barely look honest. Dude, did you see Michael cut his hair too?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah,
weirded out, bro. I
yeah.
was like, what the fuck?
That's good.
Yeah, his hair is all cut. Weirded me out. Uh, what great weather this is. This is way better than Phoenix.
It's hard 'cause it's blue and it's.
I said I can't read that word, but I don't think it's his writing.
No, it's it's hard. I wear glasses and it's hard.
Which one are you not sure of the question?
Oh, no, I got them all. I was just laughing because I like, where I was trying to write a bit down as you were saying, that's why I kept missing them, but I'm like, I'm looking at that board and I can't. Like,
I just read the questions down. You guys have to know the question and you correct it.
yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Build three closes, but I can't think of actual names.
Don't be trying to cheat on that.
I was. Choose to double check your answers.
Yeah. What's question 8? 8 is
Question 8 is how long has it been for the business?
What's question 10?
Question 10 is, what is one of the questions that you can ask in step 2?
What was the first question?
What is step 4? Also, this is like the worst handwriting I've done in years, so sorry. You can't ask that this one.
Yeah, I'm like, my handwriting's not great there.
Question number 89. What is the purpose of step 3?
Deers read it. I mean, I read it too. Can you read
You
it?
said on number 9, we have to answer with word for word.
On the 2 purposes. Yep, or get as close as you can. Again, this is not a passive like in fact. Give us an idea of where
Old people code.
Yeah, I don't.
Hey, Terry,
Go.
when you're talking about the 3 closes, you're talking about the 3 closes of step 1, right?
I don't know. You tell me.
Okay, that's all I needed to know. Fair enough.
Hey. So while those of us are waiting, I was talking to David earlier. They're out in Mexico now. They've got their little agenda as to what they're supposed to do each hour and all this other bullshit. And they actually have scheduled tequila shots at different times in whatever it is they're doing, if you can believe that.
They have scheduled to keep.
Swear. I swear. Scheduled tequila shots. It's nice to know they got their priorities in order. You know, it ranks somewhere around God, country, alcohol. That works. Work apparently falls a very distant fourth in that list. Dallas, how close are we being done in there, guys?
Oh, we're done.
Okay, cool. Portland, how close are you?
Close.
Texting you.
Okay, how are you guys doing in here?
There's a missing one, but
That's all right.
yeah, there's,
I'm just,
I answered all like the answer.
if you only miss and don't know one, we just pull a total out, just one.
Fair. Out of 10.
Two or more, you lose three.
Number 10 was.
Half, you lose all of them. More than half, we take them out and then start trying to put them back in. That means
Yeah.
with super glue, gorilla glue. Cam, how are you doing over there, buddy? Are you done?
Mine is also.
Have 3 today.
Yep.
Okay. I gotta go back and look at them.
Okay, very good. So nobody is there to grade Cam's. So Cam will be honest about his, I'm sure, because he's an honest guy. So is everybody ready?
Is all that ready? Good.
Yeah.
All right, so do me a favor, everybody, switch papers.
Yeah, it's all the same.
Good. Okay, good. Okay, so here we go.
Yeah, everyone should just shift it one to the right, so.
So step number 4. Cam, what did you put for step 4, good sir?
Purpose.
Or question number 1, what is step 4 called?
That's the company.
That would be the company. Indeed, that is the correct answer. Company is the correct answer.
I had it right and then I took it out, yeah. I did think I did that.
Hold on, I am trying to find a different color. This motherfucker here. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so step 4 is called the company. If somebody did not get that right, reach over, grab their pinky and yank just one nail out. Number 2, what is step number 2 called? Michelle, what answer do you have in front of you?
Entry warm up.
That would be the warm-up. That is correct. Okay,
So what is the purpose?
Marky Mark. Name the 3 closes. Give me one of them.
Special trip, special trip, time, open mind.
Special trip is 1. Hey, Cody, give me another one off of your sheet there.
Open mind.
Open mind would be 1. And Double J, name another one off of yours.
Open mind. Or waste of time, sorry. Just kidding.
Okay, waste of time. That would be correct. Those are the 3 closes. Waste of time, open-minded, special trip. The purpose of step number 2, this one should be fun. Miss Machado.
Miss Michelle?
Read me what you have, Shadow.
Build rapport, make a friend, lower sales resistance.
That would be a negative. That is not correct.
Can I get my answer?
Sure, give me your answer.
Create an atmosphere conducive to selling?
That would be halfway correct, yes.
I'll go.
All right, Cody, here.
To make friends with the homeowners and create an atmosphere conducive to selling.
That is correct. The purpose of the warm-up is to make friends with John and Mary customer and create an atmosphere conducive for selling. Operative word, make friends. Okay,
So if they said just to make friends, they're good.
Make friends would be half correct. The answer is make friends with John and Mary, create an atmosphere conducive for selling. Okay. So, number 5, what does CPA stand for? Anybody?
Company product affordability.
That would be correct. Company product affordability.
No.
What did you put?
Pander, like pander to their issue. Oh, my God.
Company pander and affordability. What the fuck is that?
Like I'm pandering to what they're saying. I don't know.
Dude, I don't even know what that word is.
Pander.
Okay, so the answer is company product affordability. It is not company pander and affordability. It's not that. Okay, so CPA, company product affordability. Number 6, this one should be fun. Tanner, what do you have for an answer that you on your in that paper in front of you for the hot button question? What do you have?
What would you change about your windows right now if you could?
Say that again.
What would you change about your windows right now if you could?
Also both not button, so I don't know. I don't think so.
That would be a negative, sir. Not correct. Tall Matt, what do you have in front of you?
You want what I have in front of me, or you want the right answer?
No,
Nice.
I want what's in front of you. Everybody's reading what's in front of them.
Okay, if you did your windows, do you think we would get more business?
That's the shorthand version.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's not correct either. So, seeing how Matt said, do you want the right answer? Well, let's see if you've got the right answer, Tall Matt. Let me hear it.
When you take your old windows out and put your new windows in, what exactly do you want your new windows to do for you, and be specific?
Roger that. That is verbatim on the money. When you take your old windows out and put your new windows in, what exactly do you want your new windows to do for you, and be specific? That is on point. Anything other than that answer,
One
ladies
question.
and gentlemen, would be incorrect mundo. Okay. Let's see here. Alex, the answer to step number 7, the paper in front of you, orders of step 1 through 4 in order. What do you got?
The entry, warm up, inspection, the company.
Okay, did you guys catch that?
Yes.
This one, Alex here is a lot like Shadow. The inspection, the warm up, the company, the dude that's coming out, the Barry White. This my man. So we've got Shadow and Alex is the white Barry Whites. Very apropos for that last name, I guess. So that would be correct. Entry, warm up, inspection, and company. Okay. This should be the easy one. Step 8. Somebody give me an answer. This is easy. Number 8. How long has Apex been in business?
26 years.
Does anybody have an answer other than that?
25 years.
25, almost 26.
All those are good. Since 1998, that is correct. Though the question does say, how long has Apex been in business? It didn't actually say, when did Apex start? But 1998 works, though. 1998 works. Number 9, what is the purpose of step 3? This one should be fun. What do you have in front of you, Cody? What's your say?
To show the homeowners that their windows are in woeful disrepair and in desperate need of their immediate attention.
That's pretty good. I'll take that one. That's pretty good. I'll take that. So, as it is written out, step 3's purpose is to show John and Mary their windows are woefully inadequate and in need of their immediate attention, and that the condition that exists is costing them money on a daily basis. Very important, guys and gals, for these for the purposes. It is important, and the reason why it is so you know what you're trying to achieve, but it also goes along with the closing question, right? Because in the closing question for step number 3, it's obviously replacing windows, something you're gonna do someday, not today, but someday. At the same time, would you agree the windows are costing you money on a daily basis? And doing something sooner rather than later is a better way to go if possible. So the purpose goes along with your closing question. So it's good to know both of them and as to why you are there doing what you're doing in that particular step. So that is the answer to number 9. The last one question in step number 2. Miss Nicole, what do you have written in front of you?
Hot button question, transition questions.
Cody, would that be right or wrong?
Wrong.
That would be wrong. That is correct. Miss Michelle, what do you have written in front of you, Mia?
Question mark.
Question mark. Let me think about that one for a minute. That one also would be wrong.
I get it.
Okay.
Wait, does whoever's test that is get like 2% because they, the question mark comes at the end, they just got the rest.
Right.
2% credit.
It's partial.
But is it a pretty question mark? Is there some good shape to it?
It's pretty.
Okay. So, Rylan, give me an answer.
How long have you folks owned the home for?
That would be 1. He said, how long have you owned how long have you folks owned the home for? That would be 1. Somebody give me another one.
Is this your forever home?
Is this your forever home? That's a good question. Give me another one. Anybody?
Does anybody else do a project like this? Is there anyone else that helps you with the decision?
That's the.
Roger that. That's the biggie right there for sure. Does anybody help you make this kind of decision? And if the answer is yes, what's the follow-up question?
Do they help financially or just with the decision-making process?
That is correct. Do they help financially? Or is this one of these things you're just checking in? All right, so there's our test for today. Let's go ahead and total everything up. This is a pretty easy one. And let's find out. So what did we get, Cameron? How did you do?
Not good.
Define not good. What'd you get? Come on.
I don't know how to see it.
Nailed it.
I don't know exactly. How many did
I mean, did
So I missed 0.5.
You missed
you
one.
missed half? Okay, so half of one is
number
good.
4. On number 4, I didn't do
Do
this.
they get partial credit if it's like a 4-point answer and they miss one of them? Or
Do they what?
Did they get partial credit on the, what are the 4 steps? If they only miss one of them, do I count that as just a wrong or do they get partial credit?
Roger that. That's wrong. Got to get it all right on that. How'd you do?
I'd say mine is like 1.5 or 2.
So mine's 2, so 80. You got a 90.
No, I got like a half.
Okay. Means we gotta keep it on. We gotta study more. That's what it means. So here, just so you guys know, doesn't matter who the names are. So here we got a 90, an 80, and a not so good.
Thank you.
Cam, how did you do over there, buddy?
I got them all.
You got them all right?
Yep.
Okay. Cody, going around the room, what did everybody get out there? You don't have to give names if something's bad.
Let's see, everybody had these on here. You got,
Yeah, from 60.
all right, this is a 10 out of 10. We've got a 60%, 60%. Round up. Yes. I guess this is 60%, 70%. Whose is this?
That's mine.
Is that?
It's
The
like
checks,
80.
right?
It's like 80.
There's like checks and
It's like
circles.
80. It's like 80.
It's like 80, Shadow says for Jenny. 10 out of 10, 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10. So
Okay.
way too many 6 out of 10s.
So Dallas, what did we get out there?
10 out of 10 and an 8.5 out of 10.
There is no such thing as an 8.5, goddamn. An 8.5. I got an 8 5/16 on one over here. So,
Matt gave me partial credit for shorthand.
Oh, did he?
If Gary doesn't get a say, he's 5'1" and 3/4, you don't get a say on 8.5.
Yeah, yes. So 60% seems to be a number that came up quite a bit. I got that down here 2-on-1. So our 60%ers means we just got to put in a little more work and make sure we're doing a little more studying. Okay, so appreciate everybody for jumping in on this. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There will be another test next week on Monday. As we move forward, these tests will become a bigger and bigger deal. This one we get to have a little fun with. Everything's cool. Next week, we kind of sort of have some fun. After that, the last two, not very fun. If we're not passing that, we've got some challenges that we have to address right away. Okay. So that being said, as everybody has studied and done what they've done, what
Do I give
questions?
these back to people? Terry, sorry to interrupt, or keep these myself.
Say that again.
Do I give these tests back to everybody or keep them?
I would sit there and keep them and make a copy and give them back for everybody else just so they have them. But this way you can also sit there and see how they're progressing.
Not expect some improvement.
You need to write her name.
Yeah.
Actually, guys.
Mark out in Dallas, I suggest you do a little better so you can get past that 8 5/16. Oh crap. Next week he'll be 9 7/8.
Next time I'll write down complete answers.
I'm a tough grader.
Okay, so what questions do we have? Anybody? What questions do we have for anything we did last week? I would suspect that for those of us who did not go 10 out of 10 or who struggled a little bit more because they had, a tough time with this one, would have questions. Here's what I would sit there and say to everybody, okay? It always concerns me when people aren't asking questions or if it's the same people over and over again asking questions, okay? That is a bother, that is a concern that I have. Because for the most part, there's no way everybody should have questions. Everybody should. Audience participation is a big deal. That's how we all learn, right? You guys have got to ask questions. And I don't mean the goofy questions, because you want to hear yourself talk. I mean, but if you got something on your mind, then damn it, say it. If you got it on your mind, then speak up and let's talk about it. Because you might be you might be the only person, you're not the only person that may have that question, in other words. Okay. So do we have any questions at all? If not, we'll start getting into step 5. Anybody have any questions about anything from last week? Thoughts, concerns, challenges, how much is a wood chuck, anything?
Yeah.
All righty, whiteys, let's get after it then. So this week we will be concentrating on one step only for the most part, and that is going to be step number 5. Step number 5 is going to be the parts, pieces, and product. You do not have an outline for the most part like you did for last week for step 5. I will have that to you, I swear, for the next day or so, though. We're going to be just making a lot of notes on windows, okay? So everybody should have the helpful hints. Is there anybody here that does not know what a double hung is at all? Okay, so we'll go over it. I just will say this real quick then. A double hung window is a window that comes down from the top, up from the bottom, or you can open them simultaneously so they tilt into the house so you can clean them from the inside and the outside from the inside. Miss Michelle, what is one advantage of a double hung window?
You can cross ventilate the top and you don't have to worry about opening, you can open the window and not have your dog poking out his head out the bottom.
Yes. So double hung window, better for cross ventilation for sure. Jimmy, give me another advantage of a double hung window.
Oh, maybe like in a bathroom, being able to open it from the top, let steam out.
That is an advantage for sure, right? So basically what Jimmy is saying is if you have a bathroom window and you've got obscure glass in it, if you want to open up a window, you can lower the top half. Because it's at the top of the window, it's still, somebody still can't see through it like you could if you would raise the bottom. All right. Another advantage of a double hung window is the fastest way to cool a hot room down is with a double hung window. Remember, heat rises, cold air falls. So you crack the top, raise the bottom, your hot air goes out the top, the cooler air comes in the bottom. Okay. It's kind of like in the summertime, here in Phoenix, especially, you get into a hot car. It always weirds me out to watch people get into a hot car, turn their air conditioners on with their windows closed and drive around until it cools off. But in the meantime, they're sitting there sweating, as Kate would say, like a Polynesian prostitute is what she likes to say, which is weird. I've never heard that said before until she said it. But your best bet in a hot car like that, turn the air conditioner, roll all the windows down and start driving. Hot air goes out right away. Close the windows, air conditioner will work better and quicker. So same thing with a hot house. Fastest way to cool a hot room or a hot house down, lower the top, raise the bottoms, turn the air conditioner on, force the hot air out the top quicker, cooler air comes in the bottom faster, room cools down quicker. Of course, our next challenge, our next advantage is, of course, easier to clean, right? Because you can clean the inside and the outside from the inside. So for those people that have two-story homes and do like to keep their windows clean, there is an advantage. Okay. Any other advantages anybody can think of a double hung window? All right.
More secure.
You could sit there and I guess you could say that. I mean, if you're using the vent latches, you know, it certainly adds an added bit of security. You know.
Service?
I'm sorry?
Easier to service? It's not really a customer thing, but for us.
Sure. I mean, again, the thing is about it. So why is this important? Because when we're pitching our window in the house, we want to make sure that, you know, is everybody here familiar with the FAB theory? FAB. Okay. All right. FAB. Hold on real quick.
Gotta work on my penmanship. So bad.
Me too.
Okay, so FAB.
Beautiful script. That's like first grade.
What happened?
FAB stands for. FAB stands for features, advantages, and benefits. Features, advantage, and benefit. Everything we talk about when we're talking about windows, especially our products, we want to talk about the features, what is the advantage and the benefit of that feature. So the fact that a double hung window slides down from the top and up from the bottom, advantages and benefits would be tilt in for easier cleaning, cool the house down better, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so everything has a feature, advantage, and benefit. Okay. Double sliders. So you have a double slider, which would be an XX. And as most of us here know, double slider means the window opens from right to left on one side and left to right on the other, or like a double hung, they slide opening, they both sides open simultaneously. What are the advantages to that? Better cross ventilation. We can clean them because the windows pop up and pull out. You know, you get a lot of people that like to read. This is another advantage of both the double hung and the double sliders. So if you're that type of person that's sitting by the window and you like to read there, open up your windows to get a little fresh air, but the wind kicks open, starts to crank up. On a double hung window, you can close the bottom, lower the top half down, and the air doesn't blow on you. Same thing with a double slider. You can sit on one side of the window, get that air on you if you'd like, but if it becomes too much, you can close it completely and open up the other side and still get air to come through. So again, we want to talk about the features, the advantages, and the benefits of everything that we do. Okay? So I'm gonna skip the windows for right now. It seems that most of you are pretty familiar with Windows. Is there anything about Windows and any of you guys have a question about? We know what double hungs are, sliders, casements, awnings.
What was the definition? You said double hung again?
A double hung is a window that slides up from the bottom and down from the top. Okay,
Got it.
double slider opens and closes on both sides. You have awnings and casements. A casement swings open and closed like this. An awning swings open and closed this way. So one is side to side, either left to right or right to left. Awning opens and slides or cranks up, so the hinge is at the top on an awning. We'll get more into that here in a little bit. There was a question a rep asked me yesterday, and the question was, what is a Jack and Jill bathroom? For those of you who are not familiar with that term, Jack and Jill, what is a Jack and Jill bathroom? That was a good question, by the way.
Cursor to a gender fluid bathroom. For everybody.
That's it.
It can be that gorgeous.
So Jack and Jill. This is bedroom number one, for example. Here's the door to get into bedroom number one. This is bedroom number two, and here's the door. But a Jack and Jill, right here and right here. Some people may call it the Brady Bunch bathroom. For those of you that used to watch the Brady Bunch, they could get into the bathroom from different sides of the opposite ends of the bathroom. That's called a Jack and Jill bathroom. So a Jack and Jill allows you to get into the bathroom from either one bedroom or the other. Okay. That is called a Jack and Jill bathroom. So the one that brought that to my attention, that would be Miss Nicole. Good one on that, Miss Nicole. Because when I brought that up, Alex here just said, they go, oh yeah, what is that? So that was a good question. Good question. Okay. U factors and solar heat gain coefficient. All right, let's talk about that now and get more in depth in that. Hold on. So I'm going to address something here real quick, just because this is a cool thing to do, and I get it. There are, I received a couple text messages over the weekend in regards to, fact check this, check that. Okay. For those that sent that to me, pretty smooth. That's a good one. And I'm glad that you get it so we can go ahead and address that. One of them had to do with a double hung window. So when we're looking at stuff, guys, there's going to be sometimes I'm going to give you information here. It's not going to sit there and meet up with what it is you may or may not be researching, depending on how much you research. Okay. For example, the double hung window. If you want to get technical, the double hung window was actually invented first over in Europe. Okay. It's more of a European window. However, the double hung window did not get patented in the United States. That was actually done by a different guy. I can't remember homeboy's first name, but I do know his last name was Haven, Haven, for Safe Haven. And there was a time also too that Haven actually worked for Anderson. Was it Renewal by Anderson at that time? He was actually the guy that patented the double hung window in the United States, though the double hung window had quote unquote already been invented. It's kind of like vinyl, if you will, where vinyl was actually invented 3 different times, but it wasn't until the last person who worked for Goodyear actually patented it to get credit for it. So some stuff that you'll read, and as you look, there are people that are quote unquote credited for maybe getting or making or inventing something. However, typically what I'll sit there and talk about is the person that actually patented it. So that was a good one who sent that out. That was actually really, really good. So I'm glad you sent it. Gives us a chance to sit there and talk about that. But just so you know, as you go ahead and look through things, typically the stuff that I'll come up with, though, is who was actually, who patented the deal. But like vinyl was invented by Goodyear by 3 different people. 2 of them actually worked for Goodyear. It was the last person that did it though that actually sat there and patented it was that dude there, you know. So anyway, so that was a good one. Whoever sent that out, that was awesome. I got like 2, 1, 2. I actually got 3 over the weekend. So that was really cool. And when you come up with stuff like that and you happen to see it, hell, you don't have to text it over to me. This is a good forum to bring it up. Bring it up. This is how we can sit there and talk about some of this. Some of this stuff won't matter other than just for good conversation and to sharpshoot the teacher a little bit. Some of it is just to have some plain Jane, good old fashioned fun, and that's okay too. Okay, I'm certainly okay with that. So nice one. All right, so the NFRC. Who here can tell me what the NFRC stands for?
National Fenestrated Rating Commission.
National Fenestration Rating Council.
What did you say?
I said National Fenestrated Rating Commission.
Ooh, you were close. So Alex was close. He said National Fenestration Rating Commission. But the answer is correct out there, Shadow, the National Fenestration Rating Council. The NFRC, the National Fenestration Rating Council. Does anybody here know what the word fenestration means?
We looked it up.
I looked it up.
We
and I
looked
don't
it up.
remember.
Last time we looked it up and looked at it.
It's a hole for a window.
Oh, I don't remember.
So
window, right? Isn't it? It's a fancy word for like
Has to be
like a
something to do with like temperature. I don't remember.
So if you want to get technical, it's a fancy word meaning hole, if you want to get technical.
hole.
Okay. So
Yeah, somebody used to
What's
use
the
that
number?
word.
yeah, opening.
Fenestration.
It's a fancy word meaning hole or opening. So when you go to pull a permit, I actually thought Michelle was gonna holler this out because she was talking about fenestrations last week. But when you go to apply for a permit, typically what they'll ask for is how many fenestrations do you have? And in layman's terms, I mean, if you don't want to get too technical and dot every, I and have to cross every T, it basically means opening, hole or opening, if you will. Okay. So the National Fenestration Rating Council, and you saw this in your helpful notes, the helpful things I sent out. The NFRC is the portion of the government that regulates the energy efficiency for windows. Okay. When a window is given an energy efficiency rating, it's primarily based on 2 things only, primarily. The 2 most important things are heat lost or heat gain. When you're looking at an NFRC label, you're going to have U factor, and then you're going to have SHGC. Your SHGC stands for the solar heat gain coefficient. SHGC, solar heat gain coefficient. So, what does all this mean? The easiest way that I have found to remember it, and I'm sure others will come up with an easy way for them, but the way I've always done it is this. Since your U factor and your solar heat gain is heat lost or heat gained, heat is the common denominator. So the way I've always looked at it is U factor is the heat you lose, which means that's what's escaping. And the solar heat gain coefficient, the word gain, is heat you gain, which is what comes into the house. That's the easiest way that I've always found to remember it, is since it has to do with heat, U factor, you lose, solar heat gain coefficient, you gain. That's the easiest way I found to remember it. How you guys remember it's up to you, but that's the easiest way for me. So when you see these U factors, what you're going to get is these numbers here, like 0.50 or 0.60. All right, so what does this mean? This is basically a percentage of 1 is all this is. So if you were to knock off the 0 and put a percentage sign, that's actually what it means. So if you have a U factor of 0.50, means 50% of your heat is what's escaping. If you have a solar heat gain of 0.60, if you knock off again the 0 and you put a percentage sign, that means 60% of the heat is what's passing through and coming into the house. Okay. So whatever number you see, all that is, it's a percentage of 1. Because technically the correct way to write 1 would be 1.0. At least that would be right. So whatever number you have is just a percentage of 1. Knock off the 0, put the percentage sign. That's how much heat is either coming in or going out. Okay. Does anybody not understand that at all? All right. So why is this important? Well, it's big time important. Here's why. Can anybody on this call tell me, on a standard double hung window, what is the solar heat gain for a Renewal by Andersen Fibrex window on a standard double hung? Does anybody here know?
0.23.
What did you say?
0.23.
Cameron says it's 0.23. Does anybody here agree or disagree with that? Okay. That's going to be Fibrex or RBA. Who here can tell me what our solar heat gain is on an average double hung? Anybody?
0.25?
2.5 is a little high. It's probably a little closer to 2.122, buddy. Of course, you don't see it as much over there. That's why, because Salt Lake, Portland, and Seattle doesn't mess with that a whole lot. So since I'm the only one here from Phoenix, let me change this up. I'll do it a different way for you guys. My apologies. I lost.
Sorry, it's 0.22 for ours.
Right. Let me change this up a little bit. I'm sorry. I forgot that most of you all are up north and I'm the only Phoenix guy here. So my apologies. We'll talk about U factors instead. U factor. What is the average U factor for a Renewal by Andersen window? Does anybody know?
0.25.
They run between about 2.4 and 2.5. That is correct. Okay. That is for U factor. So what we'll do, let me change that. I'm sorry, guys. I forgot. You guys aren't heat out here. My apologies.
We want that heat coming in most of the year, Terry.
What's the solar sun? We can see that.
Yeah. Sold. Doesn't that go on your roof?
What does our double hung window come in at?
0.22, 0.21. Depends on size.
0.2.
0.20.
That is correct. It's going to be closer to 0.19 to 0.20. So apex is 0.20. So if you were in front of a customer trying to explain how much better our window keeps heat in the house than somebody else's, in this case, Renewal by Andersen, what would the answer here be looking at these two numbers?
5%. Right.
How much?
5%.
20%.
Well, it's 5%, but it's actually.
The bald guy's got it.
5% difference.
Negative.
It's actually a bigger number when you're.
You said the bald guy had the answer. What did he say?
20%,
How did you get that number?
it's percent of the difference of that amount, that's the difference.
That is correct. So everybody get their calculators out real quick. Anytime you're trying to figure out a difference so we can talk to our customers about how much better we are, the way to sit there and figure out percentage is you divide the big number into the small number. So in this case here, you would take 20 divided by 24. So take 20 divided by 24, whatever answer you get, then put -1. So 24 divided by 20 equals what? And then subtract that from 1, and that'll give you your complete answer. So what did you get?
0.2.
0.1. How?
He said it backwards the first time, so it's 24.
Yeah, it's a big number divided by a small number, we said.
Yeah.
Oh.
You take the little number, divide that by the big number.
Huh?
Okay, so Terry, you said take the little number divided by the big number.
No, Terry, it's
Yeah.
the big number divided by the little one, -1.
No, it's the other way. Little number divided by the big number, like you see here.
Well, then that's 16%.
Negative 16%.
So if you take 20 divided by 24, whatever that answer you get, you subtract that by 1, and that'll be the percentage.
Terry, if I do it exactly the way that you have it on there, the answer is negative 0.16. It's literally what, I'm doing it exactly how it's written there.
Right, which is gonna be 16%.
Okay, negative 16%.
Smaller number. You should come up to a negative 16.6666%. So what you're looking at is 16.7%. So our window,
Terry, can you, before we go into that, can you explain how that is? That math doesn't make sense to me. I've always done it the other way. You know, 4, if you're looking for 4 more than 20, that's 1/5 of it, that's 20%. So that should be 20% more efficient.
Subtract 1
Can
from.
you go into that a little bit more and explain that, because that doesn't make sense to me.
well, so anytime you're doing math, period, if you just want to sit there, look, if I have $100 or $91 and you've got $73, percentage wise, how much more money do I have than you do? Well, you take the 91, you take the 73, divide that by the 91, and that percentage that comes up will be the percentage. That's actually the way it works.
So if we did just simple math, so if it was 50, if I had $50 and you had 100, so I would take 50 divided by 100, which is 0.5, right? So that's where you're went there. I guess I'm just confused by that. I was taught to do math the other direction. It was the small number divided by the large number -1.
I think it's because we're comparing it to, we're saying we're this much more efficient than Anderson's product. Anderson was at 24, so that's
Right.
4%. It's 4 divided by 24 is 60.
So we're trying to say how much percentage, we're trying to say how much percentage less efficient theirs is than ours, not what the percentage more efficiency of ours.
That is,
Is that?
yeah, that's correct. See, we're, in the end, in this case here, so what I've always done is to tell Mr. and Mrs. Customer, look, in this case here, what this basically means is their window is gonna perform 17% worse, if you will, if you wanna call it that. So is that a big deal? Well, it depends on how you're looking at it. If it was 100 degrees and I could reduce the temperature in your house by 17%, there's a big difference between 83 degrees versus 100.
No, I
Okay.
get that. Thank you for the clarification. I thought we were trying to say how much more efficient is our window than theirs, not how much less efficient is their window than ours. So that explains why I was confused.
It's the same answer. Yeah, I feel like the number should.
It is. So are we good though?
I'm good.
Okay.
All that.
Hold on real quick, guys.
Oh, he'd be talking some shit right now, that's why he had to mute it.
That's a money line right
That
there.
is, that's really good.
Hey, so to make this really simple, if I could decrease the heat in the house.
So,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because there are two ways you can do that, you can do smaller, like a big number is gonna show how much more efficient our windows.
it's just explaining
That's money.
the U factor. It's a 0.5 difference in U factor. Actual efficiency.
All right, sorry about that, guys. So
0.25, 0.20.
again,
You know, 'cause
the
with
reason
0.1
why we want to do it this way, and you don't just subtract 20 from 24, because that's not a true answer.
it's a 20% difference.
We want to make that number a bigger number. See, what you're technically what you're doing is you're taking the 20 minus 24 is 4. 4 divided by that makes it 20%. But if we go down a rabbit hole, that's not how percentages work like that, if you're looking at it that way. Okay. We just want to be able to, again, say how much better our product is than somebody else's. This is the reason why, knowing who your competitor are. And when you get a chance to be able to look at NFRC labels and take pictures and things like that, when you're at Lowe's or Home Depot, you should go in there and look at the windows that they have and look at their NFRC labels that are there and take pictures of those and take sizes of the windows so you can compare those when you're in a house. You know, a lot of these people don't understand when they get these shitty Geldwin windows out there at Lowe's or Home Depot. You got some idiot there at Lowe's or Home Depot that has no idea about windows. The same guy at Lowe's that you talk to about windows today is going to be the same cat you'll probably talk to about paint or screws tomorrow. Okay. So these guys, they hear a bunch of these stories and they just start telling people shit. The other day I was at Lowe's picking up carpet for the home show. So I walked around and started looking at the NFRC labels. That's what you guys should do. Do some homework. You get in there, take a picture of an NFRC label, see what the U factors and the solar heat gains are, and then get a size of that window. From there, build the same size window in your system, and then compare those solar heat gains and U factors. And some of these are, oh my gosh, differences. We're talking 25, 30, 35, and 40% better at reducing heat or inside or out. But these customers do not know that. So if I was you, as you know, putting things together, I would take pictures of that. Everybody on this phone call that has sold windows, every single one of you have been hit with, well, Lowe's, Home Depot, they're better, or we're going to just go through there because they're cheaper, same window, blah, 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 blah. It's not the same. It's just not. So finding out what the differences are and your U factors and your solar heat gains is a big place to start. U factors and solar heat gains is a big place to start. Okay. The other thing that's a big place to start too is probably not the best for you to say here, Cody. Do me a favor and don't comment on this one because you and I have talked about this a lot. But for those reps that have sold windows before, when you're comparing our product to Fibrex, and that's what we're going to be talking about for a little bit here. Renewal by Andersen is everybody's #1 competitor, period. Why wouldn't they be? They only command 48% of the dollar volume in the United States. That's all, 48%. Okay. So, Michelle, name one thing, just one, that makes our product better than Fibrex that you talk about?
It's a heck of a lot thinner. Talk about a windowsill heater.
So you said it's thinner, right? Thinner frames?
Or, our window is thinner. Fibrex is very, very wide because it's composite.
When you say very wide, how wide is it? Do you know?
Like, isn't it like 4 inches wide?
Okay, and I'm assuming you're talking about,
The width of the window sill itself.
right, I'm assuming you're talking about, if this is the window here, you're
Yeah.
talking about from here to here.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. The answer to that question is Fibrex frames are 4.5 inches thick.
Mhm.
They're 4.5. They're technically 4.25, a smidge over 4.25. But with the little lip that hangs off of it, there is a little lip there in the exterior portion of it, pushes it to 4.5. Okay. I actually have a Fibrex frame at the office back in Phoenix. So it's 4.5. So you are right. Name another thing that makes our product better in everybody's opinion here.
Mechanically fastened.
Who said that?
Michelle,
Okay. Fibrex frames are mechanically fastened. For those of you who do not know what that means, they're put together a lot like aluminum windows are. There's a 45-degree miter cut. There is basically a key inside of it that they put together using screws. And then what they do is they push an epoxy into the corners that in theory is supposed to close up the seam, but it doesn't work that way. Yes. 3.25. Okay. So Ryan asked a pretty good question. For those of you who do not know, our vinyl frames are 3.25 inches, as opposed to Fibrex at 4.5. Mechanically fastened frames. Anytime you have a mechanically fastened frame, if we were to take the frame and cut it in half, fill it with water, water would pour out. Therefore, the corners will leak air. Okay. What else is another disadvantage to Fibrex or the Renewal by Andersen window, period? Name another one. Anybody? Except for Cody.
Warranty?
What?
Warranty.
Warranty is another good one. So who here can tell me what the Renewal by Andersen warranty is?
2010.
2010 too.
Yep.
It's 20 to 10. However, in some parts in the United States, after January the 1st of either 2020 or 2022, in some parts of the US, it is a 30 to 10, just so you know. So the 32 and 10 warranty hasn't gotten to Colorado yet. I'm positive of that. So in Colorado, it's still 22 and 10. Does anybody know what the 22 and 10 stands for?
2010.
20 is for the frame, 2 is for the labor, and 10 is for the glass.
That would be correct.
Gotcha.
20 years on frame and moving parts, things like that. 2 year on labor. 10 years on the glass package. Okay. What else makes our product a better product than Fibrex or the RBA window, period? So let's just say RBA from here on out. What else?
Yeah, U-Factor is better.
For sure. Okay. All right. A big thing, guys, we have to think about is what is the number one thing that Renewal by Andersen says about vinyl? What is it they're saying?
Cheap plastic.
Right. It chips, fades, peels, pits, warps, bubbles up, and discolors, right? All right. When we look at a window, whether it's our window or anybody's window, would it be safe to assume that 35% of the window is the frame?
Yes.
35 to 40% más o menos, give or take, right? Okay. The other 60 to 65% is going to be the glass package. And we have a better glass package. All right. We just have a better glass package. It's triple pane as opposed to double. Hold on real quick. Hey, Bryant. Hey, boss, check this out, dude. I didn't want you to think I was being a dick, bro. Sorry about that. The other day you sent me a text message. Swear to God on my firstborn. Yesterday when I got off the airplane, whatever the reason, dude, I got like 9 or 10 voicemails and text messages that popped up. One of them was yours, boss. So I don't want you to think I ignored you because I actually didn't see the shit until yesterday, dude. Just so you know.
I'm good, brother.
Because you sent me a text message the other day. I just didn't want you to think I was being an asshole, man.
Yeah, I was gonna call you later today anyway, so.
Okay, well, and that's fine. I'd be more than happy to take that call. I just, like I said, I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you, Chief.
Yes, sir, appreciate it.
All right, you got it, man. Thank you. So getting back to it, it is safe to assume that a window frame from a window makes up approximately 35 to 40% of the entire product. The rest of the product, which is the other 60 to 65%, is its glass package. What Renewal by Andersen does, and they do a good job of it, is they make people afraid of 35 to 40% of the window is all they concentrate on to make everybody afraid of 100% of the product. Okay. What they don't sit there and do is they don't talk about the other 60 to 65%, which is what we have to do. Because we have to assume that every house we're going to go into, Renewal by Andersen or Milgard or Marvin or Pella has already been there with their fiberglass product, or they're going to be showing up with their fiberglass product. All right. So what do we have to talk about is that. So the challenge with the Renewal by Andersen window is the 65% of its glass package. That's a problem because it's inferior to ours. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay. So what is the difference? Inferior glass package is another one for Renewal by Andersen.
Terry,
Yes.
besides it being the difference in thickness from 5/8 to 1 inch, double to triple pane, what else is it about the glass package that is inferior?
Well, the fact that it has a higher U factor and a higher solar heat gain than ours does. The fact that it's a double pane instead of triple, so not only security wise are we better, but we also sit there and reduce heat or reduce sound better as well. You know, another thing too is with Fibrex, you don't have a there is no reinforcement in their check rail or meeting rail. Okay. The meeting rail. Some of you will call it meeting rail. I call it a check rail. Ours is fiberglass reinforced. Theirs is not reinforced at all. There is no reinforcement in Fibrex at all. So why is that important? Well, it's not important when it comes to warping. All right. The one thing I want you guys to get away from is whatever you were taught by somebody somewhere, because some idiot taught that person and some idiot taught, you know, whatever, is to sit there and tell people that, you know, the thing about Fibrex is they combine wood and plastic, two products that sit there and expand and contract. Okay, get off that bullshit. Stop saying that stuff. Stop saying that crap. Okay, that's not true. Stop saying that. It works for some people, and some of you will say, yeah, but I sold windows that way. That's because you sold product to somebody that wasn't educated. Educated folks will know that that's not true, and they may not call you out and say you're lying, but that's what they're thinking. The challenge with Fibrex, it is a composite. Because it is a composite, its weaknesses turn into its strengths. When they join this composite and make this composite together, Fibrex actually warps 5 times less than vinyl does. Fiberglass is 7 times less than vinyl. So stop saying that crap, because some people know that because they understand composites.
Can you repeat that?
Okay.
Those numbers?
Yes. So Cameron is asking me to repeat. Fibrex warps 5 times less than vinyl does. Fiberglass warps 7 times less than vinyl does. If you want to know the true definition of Fibrex, the definition is it's 40% engineered Anderson lumber and 60% thermoplastic polymer by volume.
Can you say those numbers again, Terry?
I can. Fibrex is 40% engineered Anderson lumber and 60% thermoplastic polymer by volume. If you were to take the sawdust of wood and the sawdust of the plastic, there is more wood in it than there is plastic, because it's all put together by volume, by weight. Wood weighs more than the plastic does. So there's actually more wood in it than there actually is plastic. So 40% engineered Anderson lumber, 60% thermoplastic polymer by volume.
Terry, you cut out for a second. Could you repeat that again about how even though 60% thermoplastic by volume, why it would be more wood?
Because volume is the same as by weight, basically. Wood is heavier than plastic is. So when you look at the sawdust, and they actually show it to you when you go to Cottage Grove, the bowl of sawdust is much bigger with more stuff in it than the actual plastic is.
That makes sense.
Okay, but it's 40% engineered Anderson lumber, 60% thermoplastic polymer by volume. Engineered Anderson lumber means is they take the wood and they take out all the impurities, knot holes and things like that. That's all removed. And then they grind down the wood that's left. But they take all the knot holes and stuff like that out of it. That's what they mean by engineered. Okay. Now, with Fibrex, though, because it is wood and plastic technically, if you think about this for a minute, okay, because they don't metal reinforce the frame, because they don't, when you look at a window, and this is going to be hard to see here, so I'll do the best I can. This is a sample piece, because this is a sample. If you'll look, the glass package here sits on top of the vinyl here. In a real window that's not a sample like this, there is space in between the IG unit and the frame. Okay. If you were to take an ice pick, which you guys will all be using at some point in time, if you take an ice pick like this, here's your ice pick. All right. If you take an ice pick and a lighter, and you were to heat up with a lighter this spot right here. You could heat it up for about a minute or so. Take this and push it on the ground, and you can bend it so that the ice pick will bend like that. Okay? Then what you do is you take your lighter again and you heat this up here. You bend it in the other direction. So when you're done, the ice pick will look like this. All right. When you take the ice pick and you heat up the point of it, the space that you have between the IG unit and the glass, you can heat it up enough where it'll literally cut right through the damn frame just like butter. I mean, it goes through easy. And you can fish that around. And once you fish that around, this hook comes out to the other side. All you do is put it on the lock, push it backwards and turn it, and the window will unlock. Very easy to break into. A criminal showed me that when I was a cop, to be honest with you. I saw that and freaked the fuck out of how easy it was and how quiet it is to get into. The advantage of our check rail is the fact that it's fiberglass, number one. So you can't push through that with a hot poker like this. But with Fibrex, you can. So though our frames may be made out of vinyl, it is a more secure frame at the check rail or the meeting rail where the lock is, because somebody can't sit there and use this shit this way to be able to get inside. And this literally takes about 3.5 minutes to do. It's pretty damn easy. So one of the things that you guys will be doing, that your MSPs will be asking you to get, is part of your sales training kit. You guys have to go out and buy an ice pick. I need everybody to buy an ice pick. You can get them on Amazon for like next to nothing. They're like $7, $8, whatever it is. They don't have to be very big. But part of your kill kit, we're going to get you a 10-inch piece of vinyl frame. So as we can heat it up with a lighter and show people how easy it is to get into. And then we'll explain to them how you break into that. Okay. So Fibrex is very easy to get into because it doesn't have a reinforced check rail. In their mind, because it doesn't warp the way vinyl does, they don't need any support thing there. Well, the advantage of that support thing there, it added security. It isn't just adding strength to the check rail, it's adding security to the check rail. Did I lose anybody? Does that make sense for everybody?
Terry?
Makes sense? Yeah.
So the ridge and rail system that we have versus the check rail, does RBA have like a ridge and rail type of system?
You're talking about a 90-degree interlocking rail, right?
Correct.
The answer is yes, they do. And truth be told, it's a better 90-degree interlocking rail than what we have. So I would be careful with that one when we're talking about that, trying to compare the two. Renewal by Anderson's 90-degree interlocking rail is better than ours. And the reason for it is in their 90-degree interlocking rail, they don't use weather stripping. They actually have a rubber gasket inside of it that runs the entire length of the check rail. So when the window closes, it's a bubble seal that locks right over there. At the check rail, it actually reduces heat or dirt and dust better than ours does. Okay. We just use a 90-degree interlocking rail with weather stripping. They have weather stripping too, but inside of it is actually a rubber gasket, and it creates a much better bubble seal, much better than ours does. All right. However, we want to talk about the things that we're better than. So ours is a lot more secure than theirs is by quite a bit. The other thing that makes us better too is installation. You're going to have to make sure in your market, because it varies from market to market. But Renewal by Anderson's average installation is a drywall to drywall install. Okay. Theirs is drywall to drywall install. So Why is that bad? Well, several reasons. If this is your drywall here, and it's this thick, and underneath that drywall, you have your wood stud here. Can everybody see that?
Yep.
Okay. On a drywall to drywall install, the window will sit on the drywall like this, and then the screws will go down through the drywall and into the studs. Here's where the problem is though. When you push screws through this, through the drywall, you also take away from the integrity of the drywall. Would everybody here agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. What happens is over time, as the house continues to settle and everything moves, what happens is this drywall softens up. When the drywall softens up, the extra support that's underneath it, because the window sitting on top of it, that shit starts to go away. So over time, the window starts to get a lot more cattywampus, okay? And comes more out of square. The other drawback to doing that is that makes the window smaller and the frame to appear to be a lot bigger. Okay? Does that make sense?
More glass space.
Here's what I mean.
One question, Jerry, on that too. Is that always the same if they're trimmed out windows or just if it's a drywall wrap? Like, because about probably 60% of the windows here have, wood trim on the openings.
Right, but no matter what, if it's drywall to drywall install, you're shrinking the opening. Okay, for example, this is your drywall. This is your window sitting on top of it. That means your opening is going to shrink all the way around because you're on top of the drywall. The way windows should be installed is buried behind the drywall. So instead of seeing this kind of a look, what you're getting now is that. So in here or here, okay? By burying the window back behind the drywall, you're seeing a lot less frame and more glass. Drywall to drywall install, it's less glass and more frame. Also too, in a 4 foot by 4 foot window in a bedroom, okay, for you veterans that are here, if you have a 4 foot by 4 foot bedroom and you had a choice, there's only one window in it. And you could either put a double hung in it or you could put a double slider in it. What do you put in?
Slider.
Why?
Egress.
Egress to get out.
Right. So if you're drywall to drywall installing, that's making the opening even smaller. The window doesn't meet egress. As it is, our window doesn't meet egress on a drywall to drywall install. Fibrex, damn sure enough, isn't going to because it's bigger than ours. Okay. So when you're competing against Renewal by Andersen, we want to find out in each location that we're at, how do they install? Is it a drywall to drywall install or are they cutting back the drywall and burying it back behind the drywall? For the most part, other than on brick, they drywall install for the most part all the way around, other than on brick. That's something for you guys to know here in Seattle and Portland and stuff like that. That's a biggie. Because if you run across these 4040 windows, these 48 by 48 inch windows, they've had Renewal by Andersen out there and they're not putting in casements. We then get to sit there and talk about the safety feature of the product too. Okay. Now, granted, some people are going to tell you, I've lived in this house for 25 years. I've never had a fire before. I get that. Okay. I'm also almost 60 years old and I've never been dead before either. And the graveyard's full of people that never thought they'd be dead till the day they got there. It only has to happen once. The average person has insurance on their home because they're betting on the fact something bad someday is gonna happen, to include fire. So people actually bet that it's going to happen. So we wanna make sure we're talking about that, okay? So these and other things too, is all the things that makes us better than that.
I've got
The
a
other
question.
Yes,
So I was taught about like renewal versus 100% vinyl. I mean, our houses shift a lot here in Dallas. So we were taught as it shifts that renewal composite frame is so like thick and sturdy that the house will move and that frame doesn't want to move. But the 100% vinyl will give a little bit and you won't get those cracks. Is that accurate or is that just like what you're explaining with the screws?
yeah, no, that's not accurate, man. If the house moves enough, it's all gonna break and twist.
Okay.
Nobody's window is designed to be able to shift. It's just not designed to do that. When the window starts to shift, it comes out a square, that's gonna be a problem. No matter who we are, no matter who we are. Windows are not pliable that way. They're not made to sit there and wiggle around and move around. It's not silly putty and shit, So unfortunately, yeah, that's not true, sir. Okay. So again, there's a lot more wrong with Fibrex. The other thing that we could talk about Renewal by Andersen is, here's a good one for you. When I'm in a house and I'm talking to customers about it, I always tell everybody that Renewal by Andersen is a great company with a great product. There is no doubt. But one of my challenges is, there are three kinds of lies that a person can tell in the world, right? There's a bold-faced lie. There's lying by omission. And at the same time, too, there's a little white lie. And the worst lie of all, they say, is lying by omission. So here's the lying by omission part. What Renewal by Andersen doesn't tell you is that there are thicker gauge vinyl out there. And with a thicker gauge vinyl, those companies that use a thicker gauge vinyl will warranty against warping. See, they don't tell anybody that. What they also don't sit there and tell you is there are companies out there that use a lot more UV protectant in the product, so it doesn't fade out the way vinyl windows used to fade out the same way. They don't tell you that either. They also don't sit there and tell you that 65% of your windows is glass package. And they certainly don't run around telling you that their inferior glass package is inferior to the glass package we have. What they do good at telling you is how to make you afraid of 35% of the window in the hopes that that fear of 35% will cause you to be afraid of the entire product. That's what they don't do. What they don't sit there and tell you is how, without having a fiberglass or metal reinforced check rail, how much more secure their product is than their product. See, that's conveniently left out too. Just as I would conveniently leave out that our check rail isn't as good as theirs. I would certainly not go sit there and talk about that. Makes sense, right? All right, guys, you guys have been in it for a second. Let's do this. Let's take, we'll get more into this because we're going to pick on Fibrex up a storm here. It's 9:19. It's 9:19, so let's get back at it it's 9:19 my time here. So in 11 minutes, let's get back at 9:30.
Terry, I got a quick question.
Who's asking?
Tanner from Portland.
I don't answer questions from anybody with T's on Mondays. Ask yours on a Tuesday. What's up, brother?
So you're saying the check rail is the same as the fiberglass reinforced locking rail?
No. So here.
Right?
Okay, so here's your double hung window here, okay? Your meeting rail here is also called a check rail.
Not to my car and grab a case of water.
Okay. And our check rail or our meeting rail, both here and on the other side, is fiberglass reinforced. Does that help, Tanner?
Say that one more time.
Okay, so do me a favor, help me out here, Conrad. Because if not, they're gonna fucking make fun of me because my arms aren't long enough.
They already are.
Grab this side for me so we can tilt it out. Okay, so this part right here, Tanner, is your meeting
Yeah.
rail or your check rail. The other side here at the bottom is also your meeting rail and your check rail. Our product is fiberglass reinforced here as well as here as well. Some other companies will be metal reinforced. Ours is fiberglass. We use fiberglass as opposed to metal because with metal, the metal heats up and it softens the vinyl up from the inside out, along with the temperature softening up the vinyl from the outside in. With fiberglass in here, fiberglass is a temperature ignorant material, so it doesn't get hot or cold, so it doesn't help deteriorate the product and soften it up from the inside. The added benefit of that is the fact that it adds for security, so somebody can't do that shit that I was telling you about. Okay,
Okay,
so that's what that is. Does that help?
that does help, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? All right, then it is now 9:22. So let's take 10 minutes, guys, 10 minutes. Thanks, man. My arms weren't long enough to grab
No, I
that
wasn't
side.
sure you like.
Don't show up. Didn't Gary? Don't show up.
What happened?
I'm probably really starting to bust up.
You know what though, bro?
What's that?
So my other black shoes, same way I hold. Part of it is the way I walk. I drag.
I just bought shit.
A USB-C charger and brick that I can borrow for like an hour.
You
I
have
think
one.
we all should. You know, for-
It was more of a who has one the fastest. I forgot to charge my laptop.
Well, I think I lost loving it after my dog, I accidentally left a treat in my pocket.
You lost what?
I left a treat in my pocket of my hoodie.
Okay.
Like I, took him out, and I had treats in my pocket for him, and then took it off and threw it in my room. Yeah, he found it, but he went through the pocket to find it. So there's this little itty bitty hole in one of the pockets. So I don't know anyone.
So irritated about it. It's not how it works. I wrote CPA,
I did too.
but I mean, like, I'm thinking entry, warm up, inspection, CPA.
That's what my core was.
Yeah, like, that's how my brain works.
Yep, I put CPA also.
Well, the other thing too, I'm gonna ask for next week, because I would have done a whole lot better on this, is if I was speed writing the answers as he was telling me questions, and I was behind one most of the time.
Well, and hopefully he'll have a black pen.
Right. Or I'm just gonna, thank you so much.
Keep two in my pocket.
No, that's awesome.
I just
I'm getting bumps on my hands.
My thing is.
Yeah, I'm gonna write down the question here.
I just like,
I will do a lot better.
I get test anxiety and I'm used to when I take a test, it being silent and everyone was talking and they were talking. So that's why I missed completely with our language. And then I didn't even get to answer to it because I was like, and everyone's like, yeah.
Well, next time you go like that, I'll do it, cause I don't care. Takes me longer, she only gets like 6%. I'm irritated about that.
Me too.
But
We'll do better next week.
Yeah, we'll do better next week, cause I knew all the answers.
Yeah.
It was
Me
just,
too.
I was
in my head though with the closes, that's why I just needed.
I wasn't even in my head, I was just like speed writing.
Because I was thinking like, wait, is he talking about one of the closing questions? I wasn't even, because I just forgot those are called closes. 'Cause I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me.
The only reason I remember, like, I knew what he was talking about is because he said it so close. Triggered, you know what I'm saying, like, it's not about the three, and I was thinking we're supposed to know.
Yeah.
What's on the internet? So I can see stuff like that.
Okay, yeah. And like, it's, I don't know, well, I understand, well, cause you can't ask, like, I don't know. It's like, from a long works. In the process of hiring. Right. If you ask somebody. Yeah, like I said, it's like once we run the background check.
I've still got water. I'm good for now. Is it raining out there?
We should probably send a message to the team. Just a reminder for Monday meeting.
I texted him this morning. I said be here at 2:30. I told him to knock ahead of time if they can, but
It's pretty hard.
yeah, if it keeps up like this, they're not gonna be able to.
You know, on days like today, what we really want to do too is like make sure that they're not missing opportunities to sharpen themselves.
Yeah.
So especially at the stage that a lot of them are at, like
Yep.
they all need practice and they should love each other, you know, FaceTime each other, whatever they can do that way.
Yep.
As opposed to just show up.
Right. And then I told them to all look at their schedules because I want to get their 2 weeks schedules in and start doing that every Monday. So at least they're accountable on that. And then
Excellent.
I'll make a form in numbers, probably just everyone's name, and I'll jot down their schedules. So at least I have a template of when they're supposed to be working and what days they're off.
Cody has a great setup at his office where he has kind of like a 4-foot board, but he basically has the like a little vinyl pinstripe. He's got everybody by name, and he's got all this. Each Monday, everybody's stats for the previous week are up there. And I was thinking of maybe doing that on this part right here.
Okay.
As well.
Yeah.
Because I have another one of those whiteboards we could hang.
Uh-huh.
And then just having that be,
Yeah.
you know, where everybody's stuff is. Right up there. Or have them shout it out at the meeting and then somebody throws it out as they're shouting it out type of a thing. So I don't know where to do that necessarily here, but just a way to get bring visibility to the action in this case. So yeah, it's a chilly wet day out there.
Yeah. I think it's just today though. I think it's the rest of the week shouldn't be right.
Hopefully.
So.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
I want to get back on one of those fucking solo kayaks, bro. Yeah, it was so fun. I bet. You ever flip? No. So if you do, is it easy to get back out of it? You just like you just fall out and it's like.
No, you're strapped. Like, I mean,
But
you
what
can
happens with your oar though? You just like hold on to it. Yeah.
Especially in the early 2010s when they had OBJ and
We're just like standing in the corner. So unnatural. And I just feel weird. Yeah.
Dude, our home show booths this year are gonna be money.
Okay.
From what it,
Yeah.
I mean, we got the door set up, we got all, we, don't know if you saw the stands that were over here.
Cody mentioned it, I haven't seen them.
They're- They look slick. Just, especially in comparison to our booth last year. It's like fucking portfolios in a window.
Yeah. Pretty weak.
Yeah. And I started like everyone around us had been doing it for like years.
Oh, hey.
That's pretty good.
Nice. Is this still correct for like all the finishes?
No.
Let me cross out what we don't.
Apex lifestyle, bro. Don't you love
Wait,
it?
are the portfolios, did we get new additions that are updated, like timelines?
And E4, you can't do red or green either, so.
We never really saw that. I saw one
I mean, if people still want it, I've heard they can still sell the E3.
Yeah.
Yeah. That fucking hockey's brutal too. That's a brutal
They
sport.
have a window, if anyone ever wants,
Like an E3. Okay.
to like show it to a homeowner.
Really? Oh, is that why those are the two samples? that
So
you
what I'm
got?
gonna do though is I'm gonna put that in my, cause like I live in a duplex,
Oh, Double J, how you doing today, dude? How was your weekend, brother?
we have like a shared
Oh,
living
yeah,
room
not
and
bad.
a basement, so I'm just gonna
Good.
put it down there.
Yeah.
Cause it's like I don't need to carry it with me.
Just trying to digest all this stuff,
Just in case, yeah.
It's a lot of stuff, dude.
Yeah.
It's a lot. So for this week here, things are gonna start out a little weird for the first couple days. But as we start to go through the week and going into next week, then you'll start to see step 5 it will start to form itself out, Right now, what we're gonna do is a lot of gathering of information because this step is where we take the customer shop. Okay. So we have to know all of this and know our competitor. So anyway, let's see here. All right, it's about that time, sports fans. Let's start bringing them in.
Bring them in.
Did you lower the heat in here, Terry?
No, I didn't touch any. We got shitty windows, bro.
They still fit it all over these.
Yeah, because you got shitty windows. I'm starting to get hot like a motherfucker.
What's that?
I'm starting to get hot like a motherfucker, bro.
We're gonna start smoking those cigarettes.
I'm dying. Fucking starting to get hot.
Right, damn.
Well, I'm always hot though. I run hot. Like last night, I had my air conditioner down in the room at 65 and I couldn't get it cooler. So I opened up the fucking windows last night and had the windows open in my hotel room last night. But this fucking shit sucks, bro. I'm hot. It's hot.
So crazy.
Okay. Yeah, wait. Tanner's on his way. We'll wait for Tanner. Hey, open the door. We want to watch. Come on, don't be that way. I can't believe it.
Yeah, you have to pay for his OnlyTans account for that access.
Only 10.
He says he'll give you a free show. He did. I heard.
Hell, we're supposed to get a little snow down here in Seattle the next day or so.
That's cool. Seattle's gonna steal our snow again. They always do.
No, we're getting it on Thursday. Ours starts Thursday.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's too far. That's too far ahead. It's gonna be like,
When
it's 33 and raining. That's what happens.
I'm surprised in listening. I'm surprised in listening that Portland and Seattle don't get more snow. I always thought Portland and Seattle got a lot of snow, but
It's overcast.
I didn't realize.
It's the coastal airs that kind of mess that up.
Yeah. Now Salt Lake, I know gets a lot of snow. But I was surprised. It wasn't until I started working here and I found out that it's not near it's not what I
get a
thought.
lot more, but not as much as you think.
Okay, so let's get into it. All right, so in step number 5, again, step number 5 is called parts, pieces, and product, but there should be another name for it, but parts, pieces, and product is all we've ever called it. But in this step here, This is where we're gonna take our customers shopping. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna spend the next few days talking about other people's windows, different types of vinyl, stuff like that. Because we have to walk our customer through all this. I mean, everybody on this phone call, with the exception of probably Cameron here, Diana and Tanner, along with, of course, Ryland and Alex. Everybody else that sold windows here at some point in time has been told dozens upon dozens upon dozens of times that when you got down into the close, the customer sat there and told you that they have to shop, they have to do their due diligence, they have to do their research. They can't make a one-day decision right now because they have to do their shit. In this part of the presentation is where we're going to do that shopping for them. Okay. So at first, for the next couple days, it's going to feel like we're all over the place. That's normal. That's normal. So just let that go for right now. That's normal. As we go through this, we'll start cleaning it up and then putting everything in order. Right now, we just want to make sure we're getting the information. So if you're looking at this in the next day or so and say, what the fuck, we're everywhere, that's normal because we're just gathering information right now and arming you guys with all the stuff that we need to know so we can talk about our competitor, okay? The number one competitor we're always going to talk about the most is Renewal by Andersen. They are the most aggressive in the window and door industry, number one. They command about 47 to 48% of the dollar market value in the industry. So we have to assume that any house that we go to, either Renewal by Andersen has been there, or chances are they're scheduled to go out there. And that's the assumption that we always have to have, because the moment you stop thinking that way and don't think you need to cover it is the time you're going to get in trouble, okay? What we cannot do is we cannot just sit there and talk about our very cool price. For the ones that we won, awesome. But what about the ones that we lost because we didn't do certain things? How much business is there? Clearly, we don't beat Renewal by Andersen like a lot of people think, or the dollar volume that they would be getting nationwide wouldn't be near what it is, okay? It wouldn't be near what it is. So, getting back into Renewal by Andersen, all right? What would another thing, Cody, you can chime in on this one now. What would be another one? And the reason why I kept leaving Cody out is him and I have talked so much about this stuff. It's not even funny when it comes to that. What else would you sit there and say makes us better than Renewal by Andersen? What else would you say? What else would you add to this list?
Balances. Constant
Balance.
versus tackle.
That is correct. So with Renewal by Andersen, the working mechanism that they use in their window to make it go up and down is a block and tackle pulley system. Okay, block and tackle pulley system. So when it comes to opening and closing of a single hung or a double hung window, there are a few different types of closers. Okay, starting with the old wood windows would be closer number one. Those are cotton ropes with lead counterweights. Okay, those windows have cotton ropes with lead counterweights in them. The second closer is on an aluminum window, which is self-lubricating spiral spring. Okay, certainly something that we need to know because that may show up on a test someday. Okay, and it's certainly going to show up in a house when we're out there inspecting windows on these single pane aluminum windows. But a self-lubricating spiral spring is a plastic or a metal pipe, and down inside that little pipe is a giant spring that is a lubricated spring, a self-lubricating spiral spring. The third kind of closer is a block and tackle pulley system. It is what some windows in the mezzo window uses, depending on whether they're from the East Coast or the West Coast. It's what Renewal by Andersen uses. It's what Pella uses, for that matter. It's what Milgard uses, and it's what Marvin uses. A block and tackle pulley system. Okay. A block and tackle pulley system has nylon cords in it that make it go up and down. The problem with block and tackle pulley systems is number one, the sash tends to rack back and forth. So if you've ever been in a house with a Renewal by Andersen double hung window, if you walk up to that window and you were to grab the lift rail and move it back and forth, that will move, okay? They have more movement in their product than the mezzo window does when it's using a block and tackle, but a block and tackle tends to rack and it tends to get a little noisy at times, okay? The last type of closer is what we use, which is a constant force tension coil. Some people will call them a constant force balancer, same thing. But the technical term for it is a constant force tension coil, is what that is. I cannot give you the honest answer as to what ours is made out of. Truth be told, I have not poked around in our new E4 window a whole lot that way. I just haven't. So what I hope is that ours is made out of zinc dichromite. That's what I hope, as opposed to regular aluminum. Zinc dichromite, more of a it's kind of like a fancy way to say brass. Zinc dichromite is used as opposed to aluminum and things like that typically, because zinc dichromite doesn't oxidize. Brass doesn't oxidize. The best example I can give you is a light bulb, okay? How many of you here have tried to replace a burnt out bulb and it gets frozen in the socket and then you break the bulb trying to get it out? Chances are if that happened, that's an aluminum base, that's why, okay? The aluminum will oxidize. Your more expensive light bulbs, the base will be made out of brass or zinc dichromite, okay? Those don't oxidize, so they come in and out better. But a lot of times that's what you're paying for, it's the base, okay? Same thing with certain wheels on sliding glass doors. A lot of these wheels will be zinc dichromite wheels on your better windows and on your better doors and windows, again, so it doesn't oxidize, all right? So that's another thing that makes ours better, is a constant force balancer. So what is the advantage of a constant force balancer? The main thing about a constant force balancer is if you take your single hung or your double hung window, and let's say the window's 48 inches wide, if you unlock it and you just grab the lift rail, the first, say, 2 inches of it on one end or another, once you break that seal and get it out of the seal on the bottom, you could use 2 fingers and raise it this way, and the window stays straight across at all times. With a block and tackle pulley system, as it gets older, sometimes you have to kind of rock the window back and forth to raise it up at times. With a constant force tension coil, you won't have to do that. Window stays perfectly balanced at all times. Slides up and down with a lot more fluid motion. As you guys have seen already, that if the balancer is not heavy or big enough, the window itself wants to kind of lower all on its own. It's a lot easier to open and close this E4. Would you agree? Everybody here, would they agree?
Much.
It's a lot easier. And that's because of the constant force tension coil. Makes for much easier operation, which is very important, because one of the things and one of the complaints, or one of the things that other window companies will say, is that a triple pane window is a heavier product. So with a heavier product, as a person gets, up there in age, that product could be a lot heavier to lift. With a constant force tension coil, it makes it much easier for a much heavier product to go up and down, okay? So again, another thing that makes our window better, all right? So to recap for a minute, when it comes to our vinyl, from what little we've talked about ours for now, what separates our vinyl window from somebody else's vinyl window?
We have a thicker gauge.
We have a thicker gauge vinyl for sure, yes. So how do you know if a window has a thicker gauge vinyl? Typically the warranty will tell you, because if it covers warping in writing, as long as it doesn't add the phrase. So a lot of warranties, when you read them, a vinyl warranty typically will read basically like this: we guarantee our frame not to chip, fade, peel, pit, warp, bubble up, or discolor under normal conditions. If you see some kind of phrase in there that under normal conditions or something along those lines, then that means your window's not gonna be covered by warping if your heat should spike up in your country, or in your part of the country, okay? Then that means it's not covered. Ours, along with Provia, along with aniline, will literally say it'll cover warping, period. And there is no disclaimer there of under normal conditions. All right. It's like living in Phoenix. 118-degree heat is only normal for us dipshits that live in it. But the rest of the country would very much be quick to sit there and say that's not normal heat. Because it's not. Okay. The temperatures of 4 degrees below zero, like up north in certain places, that 4 degrees below zero is not normal. It's only normal for the cat that lives in it. When a warranty says under normal conditions, what they're talking about is they're talking about an average of throughout the United States, not the particular state or city that you're in. Okay. Years back when Chevy first came out with the Corvette, the fiberglass bodies that they had did not cover warping in the high heat areas such as Arizona, West Texas, Southern California, Nevada, shit like that, Southern Nevada, because of the extreme heat. So if the body on that fiberglass warped, their warranty would not cover that on the vehicle, because in their warranty it had under normal conditions, and high heat is not normal throughout the entire U.S. Okay, so major difference. The other major difference with ours is that Deceuninck, which is who we get our extrusions from, it's a German company called Deceuninck. Deceuninck not only uses a thicker gauge vinyl, but Deceuninck also adds more UV protectant in our vinyl frames, causing our frames not to sit there and fade out the way a lot of these cheesier vinyl windows do, especially when you're looking into your darker colors, such as brown or something along those lines. Okay, so we have a lot more UV protectant in ours. All right. Provia, aniline, a company called Aniline, along with RE4 window, what we all have in common is we all get our extrusions through Deceuninck. Because they are from Deceuninck, and because it is a German-based company, being a German-based company or any factory coming out of Canada, because of the extreme cold that they have, their vinyl is going to be a thicker gauge vinyl. It may not be thick enough that the human eye can pick it up, but it's thick enough that the warranty will sit there and say that it's a better vinyl. Does that make sense? Okay, so.
Who else uses Deceuninck?
I'm sorry?
Who else uses Deceuninck besides us?
Provia and Aniline, along with another company called Window Mart. They're out of Royal, Arkansas.
Thank you.
Okay. You probably won't see Window Mart a whole lot up where you're at, but out here or out in Phoenix area, Texas, New Mexico, all that, we see Window Mart quite a bit. Okay. The other thing. Go ahead, Cody.
How do you spell Deceuninck? Yeah.
You know what? Good luck. I don't know how to spell it. It's D-U-C-H something.
Ah, my mission. I feel good about today.
Yeah, well, you know what? That ain't saying much, Cody. I can barely spell my kids' names. I can't spell worth a shit. That's why I always abbreviate. And I use the excuse, I just don't want to write everything out. Chances starts because I don't know how to spell the damn thing.
If anybody wants to know, I believe it's D-E-C-E-U-N-I-N-C-K. One more time. D-E-C-E-U-N-I-N-C-K.
Yeah, it sounds about right. They're out of Cincinnati, Ohio. They're out of Ohio. The other thing that separates us. This is going to be weird for some of you because of how you were taught to pitch originally. But if you think about our E3 window, the E3 window had a sloped sill on the outside part of it. And the conversation we had with everybody is, it's a slope sill, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, so the water and the dirt and everything will flow away from the window. Okay? Well, that's just what we used to sit there and say, because it was better to say that than tell the customer that that's a piece of shit sill. So it was just better for us to say that. Okay? Most windows, fiberglass, Fibrex, a lot of other vinyl windows, they have slope sills. But if you pay attention to a slope sill window and go back to looking at these E3s, when that double hung closes, if you look on the outside, that window goes down into a pocket. Way to go, Mark fucker. You know, no wonder you were grinning from ear to ear when that started. So on these slope sills, when the window slides down on the back half from on the outside, the lip that it goes down into typically is about a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch tall at the most. With our current E4 window, our window slides down into a 1.5 inch pocket. It's 1.5 inches all the way around, including the outside. So by sliding down into a 1.5 inch pocket, our window will allow for a lot less dirt and dust to come through that. Okay? Truth be told, most people don't have a problem with dirt and dust and water coming in their house to flow away from it anyway. That's just a story we told because of the slope sill. That's an inferior part of our frame. So we just found a cool way to talk good about it. So that's why we would say there's the advantage of a slope sill. Okay? But again, our window slides down into a 1.5 inch pocket. Therefore, if it goes down into a 1.5 inch pocket like this, that means your air's got to come across 90 degrees, down 90 degrees, across 90 degrees, back up 90 degrees, and then into the house. So each time the air hits something, it slows it down. Okay? Kind of like a pool table. Each time a ball bounces off the rail, it slows down each rail that it hits. All right. So that is another thing that makes our product better, is when it's locked in closed position. Because we don't have that slope sill the way Fibrex does, we're able to eliminate more dirt and dust from coming in than Fibrex is. Okay. Does that make sense to everybody here?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So there is another thing there. The other deal, because the windows are so thick, as Michelle said, they're 4.5 inches, right? When you start getting into stucco homes, when you start getting into homes with masonite paneling or T111 or hardy board on the outside, that means that window has to set farther back into the house. Well, at 4.5 inches, if these customers have blinds that are inside mounted blinds, those blinds aren't going to go back up. Same thing with plantation shutters. I don't know if you guys see a lot of plantation shutters, but we get a fucking boatload of plantation shutters out there. Plantation shutters are the thick wood shutters that open and close. Okay. Well, if those plantation shutters are inside mounts, or they have what they call a Z-bar installation, then when they close, the closing is the easy part. But for the shutters to open and close this way, that's where the problem becomes. As they try to open up, because the window is so much thicker, it hits where the rails and everything are at, the check rails are at, so they can't go back up. Okay, so there's where the challenge is when you're dealing with Fibrex as well, is if they have inside mounted blinds, things like that, the chances are they're not going to fit and go back up. Okay. So another challenge. All right. Any questions so far about Fibrex? Anything? You guys should ask, because we run into them a lot. Yes, Michelle.
The vinyl that they use to make the Fibrex material, is it virgin?
Yes. So what they call it a CPVC, which is chlorinated polyvinyl chloride is what they call it. It is 100% pure virgin vinyl. So the answer to the question is yes. Ish. It's an ish question. It's ish. Well, the reason being is Fibrex is not made out of what they call vinyl. Fibrex is made out of a product called PermaShield. PermaShield is a patented product that Renewal by Andersen has. PermaShield is a form of vinyl, but it's not exactly straight vinyl like our window is. So in order to make Fibrex, you have to have PermaShield. So what Renewal by Andersen did, for anybody that wants to know, they patented PermaShield, but there technically isn't a patent on Fibrex because they didn't want to have to give up the ingredients that are in Fibrex. And since they know that you have to use PermaShield to make it, now they don't have to give up what's in it. What I can tell you, it's going to be wood and PermaShield for sure. Okay. So they very eloquently call it thermoplastic polymer, but it's actually PermaShield is what they use. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions about Renewal by Andersen that you guys want to know?
What kind of spacer system are they using in the glass package?
They use a stainless steel spacer in between the two panes is what they're using. It's a continuous spacer. So the spacer joins at the side is where the seam is at. So it's continuous all the way around. The theory behind that is since it doesn't butt up against each other like others do, that you don't get seal failure there. Again, it's bullshit, but it tells a good story though, and it makes sense to most people. But what they're using is stainless steel. It's not a true interceptor because an interceptor is flipped upside down, so it creates the U channel. So it's not going to be a true blue interceptor seal. However, in theirs, like everybody else, they have a decusant that's in it. And at the same time, too, there is a butyl rubber that is wedged between the stainless steel and the glass. So there's no glass to metal contact. Okay. The gas that they use is an argon gas, nitrogen gas blend is what they're using. It's basically 80% argon, 10% nitrogen. And that's what they're using for that. Questions?
Yeah, Terry, during the drywall to drywall install, is the main focus on that for like RBA, what we do differently is your main focus on that the egress law and how it you know, provides that when you do a drywall to drywall?
I don't know if I'm understanding the question, Tanner, completely. So I'm going to try to answer it. If it's not the right answer, then let me know, buddy. So you're trying to sit there and say, what's the difference between their drywall, the drywall install versus our installation?
My main question is that the overall purpose of the drywall to drywall install? I'm not saying the purpose, but is that the big factor that it reduces the egress opening?
Yeah, the number one. So Renewal by Andersen, the drawback to a drywall to drywall install is it reduces egress for sure. The reason why a lot of companies like to use a drywall to drywall install because it's a much faster installation, as opposed to cutting drywall back and sliding the window and butting the window up against the drywall and then attaching the stud. So if you do a drywall to drywall install, 10 windows may take you, let's say 6 hours. Cutting back drywall may take you 10 hours, as opposed to 6. So most companies like a drywall to drywall install because of it. As time goes by, here on the Western region for sure, I'll change that. I don't like a drywall to drywall install. I think it's a shitty way to install, and I don't like it. However, it's not something that I've concentrated on in the current role that I'm in now. Because I've got a list of 50 things to do, and that's like number 19, and we're barely on 3 right now. So I'll address install for each location at a later date. It's just not something I'm gonna mess with right now, though. But if we're installing drywall, the drywall, I'll kill that installation in a hurry once we get to it.
But does the Rex come with a certain installation process, like a fin, a nail fin, or can you do both?
Yeah, you can do both, and that's a hell of a question. Good, and I'm glad everybody's on this call for that. Fuck, that's a good question, dude. No shit. So, for those of you who have not been talked about this before, okay, does everybody? Well, let me put it a different way. Who here is not familiar with the term nail fin? A nail fin. Okay. Diana, nail fin, are you familiar with this term?
I'm familiar with it.
Okay, Tanner, are you familiar with this term?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think everybody else on this call should probably be as well. I think.
Fin, F-I-N or F-I-D?
F-I-N. Hey, Big Game James, are you still on here, buddy? He is not. Okay, so a nail fin. A nail fin is something that you usually use for new construction. The nail fin is actually an integrated part of the window itself. So when the window slides into the stud opening, the nail fin comes down in the front of the stud, so you can put your nails or your screws in it and mount the windows on. Okay, that is a nail fin. However, with us, a lot like Fibrex, we don't have integrated nail fins. Our nail fins have to be attached to the product. So for new construction, if we're doing any new construction work, our E4 is not a good window to use for new construction. All right, because of the non-integrated part of that nail fin. By snapping and screwing the nail fin on creates a seam between the nail fin and the window frame. When the window's installed and it's caulked and everything around it, as the caulking expands and contracts and opens up, the water then slips in it, and what it does is it slips between the nail fin and the frame and works its way back into the wall. So we need an integrated nail fin. So for new construction, you have to use an integrated nail fin. Cody will help you get that. You'll have to go through the E3 for now anyway, through Allside to do that. Once we drop Allside completely, then our integrated nail fin may have to sit there and go through Provia instead. Okay, but you have to have an integrated nail fin for new construction. It's certainly better for sure. It's certainly better. We don't want to put ourselves and the company in any liability by not having an integrated nail fin on a new construction opening. Okay, did I lose anybody, or are we all caught up here?
Yeah, can you describe it? It says like a template to line up the holes, or?
Yeah, so here's what I would tell you. So, perfect. This is an nail fin. Okay, so here's a window sample, guys, for those of you who want to see. I don't know if you can see it real easy here, but here's the window sample. And this right here at the top, this is your nail fin. So what happens is this window slides into the opening. Here's your wood stud. So when it slides in, the nail fin pushes up against the stud, and your screws or your nails go into these holes to hold the window in place. And then they put the brick and everything around it, or the T111, or the, part, whatever they're going to go ahead and use. That'll go on the outside, but this is what a nail fin is. This is integrated. So as you can see here, in the camera opening, there's no seam. With the E4, ours is not integrated, it's snap-on. So when we were to snap and screw these on, you would see a seam right here. What happens is when the brick and everything goes up, or whatever that it is, let's go to the outside so we can do it right. When it slides in, the brick and everything will go here, or your masonite paneling or whatever it is, and then your caulking goes. Well, when the caulking goes bad, the water works its way back behind it. And because if this was a seam, the water would get back behind it. It hits the frame and then it wants to flow into the wall. Okay, so that's the reason why we need an integrated nail fin for something like for new construction like this is here. Does that make better sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Okay, I got a question. So
Paul,
Ask Ray.
okay, what's your question?
So for homeowners that have had previous quotes that were by companies that only do nail fit installs, and it's sold exclusively on nail fit installs, and they're already kind of pre-programmed on wanting a nail fit install. Considering that we don't do that, or generally speaking, it's not advised that, you know, that we should do that. How would you sell against it?
So the way I've always sold against that, the problem with a nail fin installation is that means on the outside, you've got to cut back beyond the window. And the more you cut back beyond the window, then that means you're going to damage and screw the vapor barrier up as well. So in theory, to do it right, you should be cutting back about 4 to 6 inches beyond the window. This way, when you redo the vapor barrier, you can tie the vapor barrier into the older vapor barrier. So you got to go farther away from the window to do it. And then your window slides in where with the on top of the vapor barrier, where the nail fin goes on top of the vapor barrier. Your better bet when it comes to a window is just to cut and collapse the window out, cut the drywall back, slide it in, foam fill everything before you slide it in. Once you slide everything in, then what you're going to do is you're going to put, you know, basically a makeshift vapor barrier, and wrap the window around, wrap it around the window so that water flows away, and then slide the window on top of that and put the screws down over the top. I sell against it that way, in that it's a better install. It typically takes it's a lot less installation time, because when you're doing that much cutting and that much joining, you just open up yourself for more challenges is all. Plus your labor tends to be higher because of the extra work and the extra cost of having to do everything. Okay. So that's how I usually pitch against it. If it's me, buddy, that's what I'll usually do. I'm not a big nail fin fan installer if I can help it. And on brick, if it's a brick house you happen to run across, that's virtually impossible, because you literally then have to cut into the brick to make it work and then try to match the brick back up. And that's not going to happen. Does that make sense, Double J?
Yeah.
See, you guys have a lot of paneling out there too. The problem with that type of stuff is, again, you got to cut back past the paneling to be able to get to the nail fin in and out. And now you got to try to match the paneling and everything back up. And then you got to, like I said, you got to vapor wrap up underneath that, because you got to be able to put the moisture barrier in it.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, out here especially, I feel like we get a lot of homeowners that it's almost religious for them. Like they absolutely have to have the nail fin, not just because they got 1 or 2 quotes, but I mean, you've got, you know, insurance reasons, or they're just convinced that a block or a block fin install is going to have issues with water penetration and so forth. And, you know, for the most part, we've been pretty effective at you know, getting around that. But in some cases, you just are like, okay, we'll give you a nail fit install, it's cost more money, you know, to do what you want.
Lifetime and Anderson here, both hammer on nail fin being the best way.
Right. Well, and see, and again, with the amount of rain and everything you guys get, are they correct? Probably so. But at the same time, too, again, there's challenges that come with that. Cutting back, if you're not vapor wrapping everything like you're supposed to, things not matching up, more labor costs. So your cost of the product is driven by its labor, of course, because you got to pay somebody to put it in, you know. But if you put the window in correctly without that, and you're putting in your foam like you're supposed to, and you're putting in your moisture wrap around it like you're supposed to, it's just as effective, and it's a lot less labor intensified as well. You know, clearly we wouldn't sit there and want to warranty it either, and put ourselves in liability like that, knowing that that problem could happen. We're certainly not going to do that. I would feel confident living out there, putting windows in my house, even with as much rain as we get here in Seattle. I would sit there and still put it in that way, even in my house. You know, I would install the way I'm telling you now for my place.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else?
I just have one other question regarding the argon nitrogen fill for the Fibrex. So it's double pane window. I mean, what exactly, how do they pitch that nitrogen? Like, what's the advantages to that?
Well, the advantages of pitch is that you're 100% filled. Argon or nitrogen is in itself is pliable. So when the argon actually moves around, the nitrogen does too. So it'll allow that without breaking its seal. The big thing about it though, is it keeps 100% of gas in it at all times, which is what it is. Again, when it comes to gas is, you know, the definition is that nature always wins. So the higher percentage of gas wants to go ahead and go to the lower percentage of gas. So that's part of your dissipation process is your argon is trying to push its way through everything to get to where the more argon is, which is outside, whereas your nitrogen is going the opposite way. So in theory, as 2% leaks, dissipates out, 2% of nitrogen comes in. So as each year passes, there's a little more nitrogen, a little less argon. So that's what they're pitching there. What they're pitching is to be able to keep the window 100% gas filled. It's the same process with your alpha 10 gas. It's the same thing. You know, alpha 10 is going to be a combination of several different gases, nitrogen, argon, krypton, you know, amongst others. And the theory behind it is to be able to keep as much gas in it as possible at all times. Other than that, that's it.
I was gonna say, for anybody who doesn't know, on the air we breathe is 78% nitrogen. That's why that's going from that 78 to the 2. So if anybody doesn't know that, you breathe
Right.
a lot of nitrogen.
I mean, the major gases that make up the air we breathe is going to be oxygen, carbon dioxide, and argon. Those are typically, I mean, there's several gases in the air, but those are your bigger percentages, if you will. You know, nitrogen also being one of them. So the reason argon, like I said, is used typically the most, it's just easy to get. Super cool the air, the gas that falls out is argon. So it's just easy to get. It's why everybody uses it. It's just easy. And it's easy to work with. Anything else?
Terry, in my notes from last week, I had written down that it was the blend nitrogen argon was 90% argon, 10% nitrogen. But then just a few minutes ago, you said 80% argon, 10% nitrogen. I want to just make sure I got the right one.
No. It's a 90-10. It's a 90-10 split. What I was saying is that at some point in time, you'll go from 90-10 to, you know, 85-15 to 80-20, and the number will keep moving. But in theory, theoretic says it's supposed to be able to stay 100% gas filled. I don't make a big deal about the gas. You know, what you hear me joke about with last week is something I really say. You know, I tell everybody, look, folks, the gas that we use is argon gas. We use argon gas like a lot of companies because it's the easiest gas to get. The bottom line is, you super cool the air, the first gas that falls out is going to be argon. Now, we 90 to 95% argon gas fill our frames. You can't 100% fill them because they expand, so you don't want to break its seal. However, there is a dissipation rate with argon gas that it dissipates approximately 1.5%, give or take half a percentage either way, per year, which means about 45 years from now, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, when you lose half your gas, you're at the same time too probably going to be more worried about making it to the bathroom on time than you are to sit there and worry about the gas, because at your age, you'll be pushing 105 years old by then. You know, most people sit there and get a chuckle out of it and they laugh about it and say, yeah, that's for sure, you know. But other than that, I mean, even some of you that are 35 years old, 45 years from now, you're going to be 80. Are you really going to be sweating the gas in your window? Really? Really? Getting to the bathroom on time and not pissing your pants or shitting your drawers is what you're more worried about. So that's literally verbatim what I tell everybody about gas. Literally what you just heard me say verbatim. You know, I just want to make sure I explain it and cover it a little bit, but it never really becomes a massive issue. You know, even against RBA, because I can promise you, RBA is not pitching that way either, though. They're not. Anybody else? Anything? Questions? Thoughts?
So with Anlin, they would kind of tell us like instead of a normal window where it's injected the gas into the side, when you pull that out, they have to like cover that hole. Theirs are argon gas flood filled in a chamber where it's put in, so it's like fully full. Is that like another story? It's not actually.
Yeah, that is a story because you can't 100% fill argon gas in here. Like that. I mean, you just can't do it. If it does, then the damn thing will pop at the seam, if you will. So your seals will go ahead and fracture. That's why typically what you'll see is 90 to 95% at most. Some companies prefer 95, some are 90. You know, a lot of it too has to do with where you're at as well. Shipping windows can be a problem when you're 95% filled, especially if you're going into some of these higher altitude areas. That becomes a problem. So companies that are spending a lot of time going in and out of those will tend to use 90% gas filled instead of 95. Questions? Anything else? Okay. So when it comes to stuff like that, I mean, you know, I know Portland, you guys were told with Provia to order windows with capillary tubes and all that shit in them. Okay, that's just a dipshit. Don't listen to that guy. You know.
My door has capillary tubes in it, so it's only, the R value of my door is only 2.7, I think, because I put triple pane on the glass in there because I was feeling saucy. Mm-hmm. And because of the capillary tubes, what's the point?
Right. So windows with capillary tubes, breather tubes, things like that, all that just turns your window into a fancy storm window is all that it does. You know, you can't put any argon gas in it at all because the gas will come out of the capillary tubes. You can put low E coating in it, but beyond that, that's it. So, you know, capillary tubes are for windows and doors that stay in high altitude areas. All right. Now, some companies like Provia, they overthink shit and they want capillary tubes technically in altitudes of 4,500 feet or higher, which happens to be half the fucking country. Okay. But that's bullcrap. I mean, most windows are made the way they're put together for 66 to 6,800 feet. So that's just them being overcautious, but you don't have to have a window with capillary tubes, even like that. I mean, just because they're shipping the window coming over the damn Rockies, as long as they're not hanging out there for days, the windows will be fine just to go through the damn thing, drive through and drive out. It doesn't mean you get at altitude and they break their seals right away. It doesn't work that way. Okay. It just doesn't. But, you know, this guy sat there and told you guys important what he told you because I'm sure he either misunderstood something or some banana head told him and turned this guy into a banana head now. And he's sitting there saying shit he shouldn't be saying. So that's just pure nonsense. And I verified that just to make sure I wasn't full of crap after Cody talked to me about that. I called Kim Mast up and talked to Kim Mast from Provia, and he told me the same thing as Terry. That's 100% not true, and you know it. I said, look, I'm just making sure because your boy Campbell out there in the Northwest, the moron is saying shit like that. So he's like wrong for sure.
Dwayne, just so everybody knows, literally said that when you do capillary tubes, there's still argon in the window when it's shipped, and because it's so heavy, it stays in there. And then when it gets to the destination, they pinch off the capillary tubes. All false.
For bullshit, or is that for what?
That's pure bullshit.
Yeah.
All bullshit. In fact, on the Provia app,
Two thumbs up for bullshit.
it shows air in the glass package on those when you do capillary tubes.
Yeah. the one thumbs up for bullshit. Or we can do that.
Because it is.
It's pretty proud.
That's just news when he's in Phoenix. When he does thumbs, I mean in Seattle, when he does thumbs down in Phoenix, a big sun comes out and he melts.
You didn't see that, did you?
I saw thumbs up, down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what it does, right?
Yeah.
It rains.
Oh, we didn't see the two thumbs.
Yeah, see, they can't see this, so look.
Let me
Do
see
the-
those pretty
Thumbs
faces.
down.
What's up, guys?
Oh,
See?
see, yeah, I didn't see that.
So, yeah, he's full of shit. Just so you know, that's BS. BS. Okay. Anything else about renewal by Anderson? Anything? Anything?
I know you said they mentioned something before when they talk crap about us, but what are the other things they say about us?
So renewal by Anderson is going to say the same thing about us that everybody else is that triple pane glass is overkill. Triple pane glass is only good for reduction of sound. Triple pane glass is expensive, and that vinyl is a product that's going to expand, contract, dirt, or it's going to chip, fade, peel, pit, warp, bubble up, and discolor. Okay, that's what it's going to say. All right. We know that up front that these are our competitors that are not pitching vinyl are going to say. The other companies that are pitching vinyl, what they're going to say is that our vinyl windows are the triple pane is overkill. So, hey Cody, that video, did I send you that video of that dude? I think the guy's last name is Johnson, who messes with window. Did I send you that already?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you share that with your team?
I don't remember if I did. I'll find it and send it out.
The video is probably 3.5 minutes, give or take.
We were originally talking about it when you were here in Portland, and then you sent it to me, so I don't know if we played it or anything, I think, but anyway, I'll find it and send it out.
Yeah, it's a great video to watch. There's also some other stuff that we were able to find. Did you see the Angie's List thing that I sent you also that talked about single versus double versus triple?
No.
I sent you. Okay, I'll make sure you get that if you don't have it. I thought I sent it, but so I found a thing from Angie's List that I'm having it doctored, just so you know, because there's one thing on there that's extremely erroneous, and I didn't want it on there, so I'm getting it out. But there's a great article in Angie's List. I think it was in August of 2023 too, that came out, where Angie's List talk about single pane versus double pane versus triple pane, pros and cons and all that good stuff. The part that I got,
You
do
wrote
what?
Angie. Yeah, I didn't find it. It just literally says Angie.
Okay, what I found on there is it talks about that how something about a triple pane window should be like $200 more or $100 more. Okay, that part's bullshit, as we all know. So I'm having that damn thing removed. But everything else in it is pretty on time accurate. And it's certainly good to be able to use in the house when you're out there going through stuff, as we're in step 5 to be able to do all this. Okay. It is a fantastic article, how it starts out with single pane versus double, and then double versus triple, and what's better for what. And overall, triple pane wins. The only thing that it's accurate on is the cost and the fact that triple pane is so expensive. Well, it is for other companies, but for Apex, as you guys know, our triple pane price comes in at a more cost-effective price than most companies' double pane windows do. Okay, so that is fantastic for us. That's in there. In this video there that this guy talks about, the first thing he actually says in it right away is that anybody telling you that triple pane is overkill and is barely better than double pane, the guy literally says that's BS. And he says BS like 2 or 3 different times. And he says that anybody saying that is a company that doesn't pitch because they don't have triple pane available. So that's why they're talking shit. Well, there's also a Renewal by Anderson thing I found as well. And on a Renewal by Anderson deal, Renewal by Anderson talks bad about triple pane, basically saying what I'm telling you now, that the only good thing that triple pane is good for is reduction of sound, which is funny and ironic because, well, Renewal by Anderson doesn't sell a triple pane product. Can you imagine? So that goes along with what that guy is saying. So this will be all part of your kill book. I was trying to get Phil to sit there and hurry up and do it, but Cody, this may be something that I need to just get you the stuff because you're obviously a lot better at it, Cody, than he is.
Okay,
Terry.
so
Putting together a kill book is what we all have to have, guys. You guys have to have a kill book. You need a kill book. You guys don't have kill books. And we need to have a kill book. So having people's warranties and also everybody here on your kill book, who here, I know everybody has Pella's warranty. Who has Renewal by Anderson? Who does not have Renewal by Anderson's warranty?
I don't think any of us.
Okay, well, we're gonna fix that today. Who does not have Window World's warranty? Okay,
We even have that. We don't really go up against what.
We do.
gotta have it. You guys gotta get Window World's warranty. All you gotta do is Google Window World warranty and you get a printed copy of it. So it is, again, it's important because it shows that it doesn't cover warping. All right. That should be part of your kill book. And then whatever else, whoever your main competitors are. So for those of you who have DeBella, well, what window is DeBella selling?
Outside.
Yeah, got to pull that window out. You know the challenges that are with some of that. You know the problems that are with it. So Cody just sent out the triple pane versus double pane video. You guys get a chance on the next break, go ahead and watch it. It's only like 3-4 minutes. It's not very long at all. It's short. And the dude, yep.
Sorry, I was gonna go back and ask you real quick. On the, didn't at a certain point, Renewal by Anderson offer a triple pane upgrade?
Do what?
Didn't they offer a triple pane upgrade at a certain point for an additional fee? Or was it
Nope.
never, they never did that? Okay, and one more thing too, earlier we were talking about the solar heat gain coefficient. You know, we were doing the calculation to figure out what the percentages were difference in the amount of that can come in. And then you switched it and said U factor versus solar heat gain. How would you, like, I understand the U factor. How would you describe the difference between solar heat gain versus U factor?
You can do the same thing.
Is it?
It's the same thing. You just do the same thing. The reason why I switched to U factor is because I forgot that I had, only Phoenix and Dallas has a heat problem. The other 3 markets that we have are all cold. Most of these markets are all praying for heat right now. So
January
that's
is pretty cold here.
You can do the same thing with the U factors or the solar heat gain as you do the U factor. You calculate it the same way. Yep, you can calculate it the same way.
what is in the middle? You should be like over the cool scarf around the face.
Is R value not really a valuable metric?
No, it's not, because in order to go ahead, R value only speaks of primarily U factors, not solar heat gains. And you have to use a conversion chart to be able to get to it because windows aren't measured that way. Okay. Can you do it? Yes. I mean, there's a chart you can download and you can put on there, if my U factor is whatever, what's the R value on it? And it'll go ahead and factor it over. So you can say it if you want. The reason why I don't like R values is because anybody that understands R values real well, then that number that you get for a window is not a good number. Okay. I mean, if you look at most people's walls throughout the United States, you're required to have a bare minimum R19 in your walls and an R30 in your roof. you're talking windows here that come in at an R value of less than 6. So I don't like that number 6 to 19 when you're comparing stuff. I don't like that number very much.
I have a question, Terry. Do you have to use a chart to convert that? Because we were trained that it's just like the inverse of each other. You know, if you have a U factor of 0.5, that's an R value of 5. You basically take 1 divided by the U factor, and that's the R value. Is that not accurate?
No, not even close. Absolutely not. Because if you think about it, if it's that way, if it's an R value of 5, or if it's a U factor of 0.50, that means if you're saying that and your R value is a 5, then that means when our window is a 0.20 U factor, that means now our R value is 2. So that can't be correct. Does that make sense?
It'd be if it was a U factor of 0.20, then it would be an R value or 1 divided by 0.2. Yeah, so if the U factor was 0.2, the R value would be 5, according to the way we were trained. I don't know if that's true. We were just
Hold on real quick.
Related and inversely related to each other, which logically doesn't make sense because U factor is measuring how much is like coming in or out, and then the R value is supposed to be the resistance to that transfer. At least that's the way. I mean, it made sense logically when they said it.
The best fabrications to do.
I've seen that experiment on some other story, but it doesn't.
So here you go. Here's what I mean by the conversion chart. A window that has a U factor of 0.20, the calculation is 1 divided by 0.20 equals 5. Therefore, the R value would be 5. That's why I was saying the chances of you having an R value of anything at 6 or above is almost non-existent. The best insulating window that I know of is a European window called the Herd 8 back then. And they called it the Herd 8 because it had an R value of 8. There was nothing out there that I've seen that's remotely close to that. So I don't like to use R values when it comes to that, because again, typically walls are R19s, throughout the US. Again, roofs are R30s minimum. So when you're comparing an R19 in a wall to an R5, and to get to an R5, you have to have a U factor of 20 or even less. That means anything coming in above 20, you're running an R value that's less than 5. So the likelihood of you seeing a triple pane or a window in the United States that at 6 or above,
But you did just validate that their calculation method was correct.
No, it's not.
He said no. He said it 0.1 divided by 0.2 gets you the R value of 5.
No, he said the inverse of it. Therefore, explain what you said again, Cody.
The way we were trained on it is that they're inversely related to each other. So if you had a U factor of 0.1, then that was supposed to be like an R value of 10, basically.
Right, see?
Yeah, 1 divided by 0.1 would be.
Right. Well, but see, do the same thing.
You did 1 divided by 0.2 and got 5 in calculation. They're taking the U factor, 1 divided by the U factor, and getting the R value. And it's worked in both.
Like R value of 5 is 0.2, that's at least, so like an R value of 30 would be 1 divided by 30, so that would be a U factor of 0.03 if you could get an R value that high. At least that's the way we're trained on it. I don't know if it's accurate or not.
Well,
but it was
and it maybe I'm just misunderstanding. So what would you think? Let me ask you, Cody, if you were at 30, what would you say a 30 should be at?
An R value of 30. 0.033.
I was just like, are you okay?
I think I'm misunderstanding. Okay, so you said that if you had a U factor of 0.33, what would it be?
If it was 0.33, then it would be an R value of 3.03.
Okay, well then how you're doing that is correct then. I'm misunderstanding. My fault, buddy.
It's all good. The way we were trained on it, essentially to think of it, is the R value is the resistance to that energy transfer. So it's how much of that heat is staying in the house, and then the U factor is the amount that's moving through it. So when you combine those two, everything that stays and everything that goes, it's got to come out to 100% of the available energy. It's kind of the way we were trained on it.
I don't like I said, for me, I don't like R value personally, me personally, because I don't like the difference, how big the difference is from a 19 to whatever.
Well, one of the things we liked about the R value was it made the changes bigger. So when we were looking at like an R value of a double pane to an R value of a triple pane, those numbers were a much bigger change versus the little like fractions of a point that changes on the U factor. So it was easier for people to wrap their head around. But I do agree, because with R value, people are more like, they know more insulation values, R10, 20, R30. So when we say, hey, the R value is a 6, they're like, damn, that's low. So I agree. I actually don't want to connect those whatsoever. So I agree the U factor is better. I just want to make sure I do the math.
Yeah, that's why I don't use it. The other thing too now is that unless you're using like blue glass or something along those lines of the triple pane window, you know, really and truly, when you start dealing with U factors and solar heat gains, and it doesn't matter what part of the country, and you'll notice our number is not much bigger than double panes are. So when you start trying to do the whole R value thing, it's very minuscule. So I prefer in a case like that, when I'm trying to explain the difference, to be able to say, hey, look, they're at a 2.4, we're at a 2.0. In that case here, check this out, pal. You know, we reduce, you know, we're 17% better, so to speak, or they're 17% worse. You know, I think that number looks better, me personally, but that's my own opinion only. And then, like I said, there are so many people that are familiar with what walls are supposed to be, that they're supposed to be 19s. And I sure as shit don't want to sit there and put a 4 or a 5 in front of somebody next to a 19.
Yeah,
you know, especially when we're saying at the door, you know, our windows are true triple pane windows. We have 1, 2, 3 pieces of glass, and at the same time too, we have 2 walls of argon gas. I just don't like those optics, me personally, but you know, if you think it works better for you, try it and do it. That's just my personal thoughts only, guys. That's just,
I agree with you. I think your approach is more effective.
you know. Any other questions about Fibrex and this part here before we start moving to a different material?
What low E technology do they use on their glass package?
Well, they're using the Cardinal 366 is what they're using out there, which is what most companies are using, just so you know, is 366. The only difference is they call it something different, that's all. So what Renewal by Andersen calls the Cardinal 366, they call it HP Smart Sun Low E4. So
what?
HP Smart Sun Low E4. That is verbatim what they call it, word for word. Provia calls it Sun Defense. Okay, but HP Smart Sun Low E4 is what they call it.
And it's basically a Cardinal 66?
It's not basically, it's Cardinal 366.
Cardinal 366.
Yeah, it's not basically, it is Cardinal 366.
Is that what Milgard uses as well, Terry?
Milgard, you know, I don't know. I don't monkey with Milgard a lot. So Milgard, I haven't dealt with Milgard for years. Back in the day, Milgard used to use a solar band. They used to use a solar band 70 once upon a time. But Milgard is pulled out of a lot of the states in the Southwest. So like Texas, shit, they haven't been in Texas in almost 9 years. Milgard pulled completely out. My thing about Milgard and the problem I have with Milgard, and I tell everybody this straight out, the problem I have with Milgard, though they're a pretty decent company with that fiberglass product, they're an extremely unstable company, though. Very unstable. They've gotten themselves into trouble a lot. Different companies have bought them out to keep trying to keep them out of trouble. So right now, Milgard isn't even owned by Milgard. MI owns Milgard now. So letter MI stands for Metal Industries. But MI owns Milgard now. It's the same with Geldwin. Geldwin is some deep shit until a company out of Toronto spent $700 million to get them out of their big getting ready to file for bankruptcy problems. So I pitch against Milgard, the fact that Milgard is just very, very unstable, and they're very unstable as a company. But they've pulled out of the state of Texas, they pulled out of New Mexico. They're very, very little in Arizona. We run across them, I don't know, once every 2 or 3 months, but that's what I pitch against them. They've got a pretty good little product as far as their aluminum goes. It's a thermally broken aluminum window Milgard has. So they got a thermal break in theirs along with the fiberglass that they use.
What do you think about their Tuscany window? Because we don't do much with the aluminum here. It's usually a Tuscany or a Trinsic series that they have quotes for here.
Right, and are they using that's the aluminum window, right, with the thermal break in it?
No, the Tuscany is their high end of the 3 vinyl lines, and the Trinsic is the middle line. I don't know if I've ever seen a quote for Milgard here in the Northwest for that thermally improved aluminum.
Yeah. See, I just don't see them in the Southwest at all anymore. Hell, I haven't run across them consistently, like I said, in eons. Once every 2 or 3 months, we may run across somebody that in Phoenix, and that's maybe once every 2 or 3 months. Even when I was at Renewal by Andersen, as much as we advertise.
In the Northwest here, I would say RBA is probably the biggest kind of competitor from just the quality of what they do and everything. But Milgard is the number one that we go up against when it comes to quote against quote. There's so many dealers for Milgard here: Lifetime, Henderson and Daughters, all the little Joe Schmo contractors, all of them. Everybody uses Milgard in the Pacific Northwest because they're based out of Tacoma.
So what I would do in that window there is find out which lines they are. Let's get some info on it and start breaking it down. Number one, I would look at their closers. Are they metal reinforced? Are they fiberglass reinforced? Is it hollow core at all? Are they using butyl rubber seals? Are they using interceptor seals? Are they using a polypropylene seal? Are they using 3 mil, 5 mil, or 6 mil glass? Are they using block and tackle, constant force? Which ones are they using? Pull their warranty. Find out what they're covering in writing. Also look to see if they have anything that has to do with those phrases I was telling you about, under normal conditions, stuff like that. All that stuff is what I would be pulling right away, so I can pick and choose and find the spots that make me better than theirs is. And they're going to be. Do they have a triple pane product as well?
Yeah, they do. So that's called the Ultra series, and that's actually their fiberglass frame. That's the window that comes triple. And I think the standard for that is triple pane, isn't it? The Ultra series fiberglass and triple. I think. I'm not positive about that.
I think they can do either.
Can they do both?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd look into that. And the other thing I would look into is what the performance of the triple pane is. So just so you know, guys, just because a fucking window is triple pane doesn't make the window any good. All right. So hypothetically, here's this one. If you look at this ain't hypothetics, this is for real. So you take Pella's 250 series. The 250 series Pella window is in fact a vinyl window. That window comes both double and triple pane. But when you look at the U factors and the solar heat gains, the U factors and the solar heat gains, the better window is the double pane as opposed to the triple. Can you imagine? So question on the table is why? Well, the problem is unlike the Provia window, unlike our window, unlike Bristol Industries and a couple of others, those windows, when they were made to be triple pane windows, were manufactured to be triple pane from day one. All right. The Pella 250 series, along with some other window companies that are out there, what they did is when people started buying into the triple pane, they just took their double pane, put another piece of glass in it, and said, here, we're going to go. We have triple pane also. And because they didn't do the things that they needed to do to make it better, your U factors and your solar heat gains are actually worse in the 250 series triple pane than it is a double.
Because of conduction, baby.
Right. So just so you know, so what I would look into is if a Milgard is putting out a fiberglass product that's triple pane, then let's go ahead and get some U factors and solar heat gain numbers on the triple versus the double, because we're assuming that the triple is better, but that's not true. It depends on whether they decided, oh shit, we better jump on that. So here's what we're going to do also now. And if they didn't change some things up in it, the product won't be as good as the double is. It just won't. So I would look into that if it was me, seeing how you guys are running across them. Got to figure a way how to overcome them. So dig into the product and let's find out. But don't assume just because it's triple that their triple is better than their double. That's not true. It's not for the 250 series. I can tell you that right now. And it's not.
Oh, sorry. Like as far as how adding that extra slot of glass actually would reduce the U factor.
Say that again.
Can you elaborate on that? How the Pella 250 series, by how their triple pane is actually less efficient?
Yeah. So what happened is what Cody brought up last week. Conduction is the problem. So with the 250 series, when the window was made, okay, let me back up for a minute. I don't know how familiar you guys are with Provia. So let's get into Provia for a quick second. This will help us for Pella as well. If you go with the Endure series, double pane window Endure through Provia, the spacing in that window is 3/4 of an inch. It's 3/4. However, if you take the same Endure series and you go with a triple pane product in that, you go from a 3¼ inch spacer to a 1 inch spacer. Okay. With the 250 series window, they don't change their spacer distance. All they do is add a third piece of glass. That's it. So the challenge is a couple things with that. Number one, conduction takes over. Things are too close together. So your U factors and your solar heat gains aren't quite as good. At the same time, too, Pella doesn't use their window's not reinforced throughout the window, and they don't use a thicker gauge vinyl. So the problem is by adding that third piece of glass, you create a product that's a lot heavier. Because the product is heavier, it puts different kinds of strains and challenges on the window itself, on the frame itself. Okay. Most triple pane windows that were designed to be triple pane windows, there were some things that went into it to make it a better product, which is why Provia uses a thicker gauge vinyl, and they go from a 3/4 inch space to a 1 inch space, whereas Pella does not. They keep the same space. So there's where your challenge is. That's why the numbers aren't as good, Jimmy. That's why.
Okay, perfect, thanks.
That work?
Yep.
Okay.
Terry,
Anybody-
how many companies do you know of that offer a triple pane? So far, I've heard Pella, Geldwin, Alcide, obviously, Provia. Are there any others that you can think of that you know of off the top of your head that do it?
Yeah, fuck, man. There's a crap load, dude. The triple pane window system. Bristol does, Winchester Industry does, Quail does. Shit. There's a crap load now. Again, I don't know that I would get into worrying about how many of them that are out there. Is I would be more inclined to figure out who the top 4 or 5, maybe 6 companies are in your town. Find out what they're selling and then take it from there is what I would do. Like here in Phoenix, for me to research Milgard, if I was a window guy, to try to find out how I pair up against, why would I want to do that for a window that I run across once every 3 months or so?
Just in case the Seattle people care, we found the Milgard triple pane window at 2.26 U factor.
Or their triple pane?
Yeah.
Whereas their double pane is lower, isn't it?
Probably. We didn't compare the two.
I think Milgard, I don't know if they just slot it. I think they might build it properly, but it's just overall, They're not foam insulated frames and stuff like that, so I don't know. I think
Yeah,
the
see-
UFactor
Ultra,
is-
so it's
is worse.
fiberglass frame.
Okay.
Okay, well, wait a minute, hold on. Ultrex doesn't come in the triple product. Ultrex is Marvin.
Ultra.
No,
No,
it's
it's all the
Millard
Ultra.
Ultra.
Oh, Ultra, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you said Ultrex. And
Fair.
Ultrex would be Marvin.
Right.
Yeah.
That's their Infinity.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Okay.
you.
So 2.6 is pretty high for a triple pane product. So I would almost bet money that their double pane product is gonna be lower than that 0.26. And if it is,
Their Tuscany series is like 0.24 to 0.22.
is that a double?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, so chances are they're probably in the same boat that Pella did. What they did is they took their double pane window and just added a third piece of glass, and they didn't do all the things they needed to do. Because to have a U factor of 0.26 on a triple pane product, that's pretty gnarly. That's shitty, like in a big way. Because almost every window, double pane window out there that's worth its weight in salt is going to be lower than 0.26. And if it's worth its weight in salt, it's going to be better than 0.26. So I'll bet you that's what they're doing, Miss Michelle. Guys, I bet you that's what they're doing. That's why I'm saying, just because the company has a double pane window and a triple pane window, do not think for a minute that triple pane window is a better product, because that's bullshit in a lot of cases. It really is. Because a lot of these companies, again, they're not going through spending all the millions of dollars you got to spend to make frames bigger, to sit there and change their millwork on shit. I mean, it's a large ass investment. It's large. So that being said, what they did, a lot of them, is they just added a third piece of glass, and all of a sudden their U factors and their solar heat gains aren't quite as good. So
Is that why a lot of those articles out there that say, is triple pane worth it? It's clearly, written by people who are selling double pane.
Right.
That's where they're pulling their stats from.
Right. I mean, if you ask a drug dealer, is it worth it selling drugs? He's going to say yes every day. That's the way that it is. Pablo Escobar, he never sat there and thought what he was doing was wrong. I can assure you of that. So that's exactly what it is. Typically, the companies that don't sell triple pane are going to talk shit about it. Or the companies that have done good with their triple pane product, done all the things that they're supposed to do, the cost is considerably higher. I mean, with most companies not named Apex. I can tell you for sure, Provia's triple pane window, it's pricey. It's a pricey window. Now it shouldn't be quite as high as I think what we're showing right now, but it is going to come in at a higher price point. There is no doubt, And if you want to go know the God's honest truth, they make a better window than we do overall. Triple pane wise. So triple pane wise, I mean, their best triple pane window, you can get their solar heat gains under 0.17, and you can get their U factors under 0.16, 17, 18. Everything will be over 20 though, under 20, everything. If you go with their TLK UV, everything comes under 0.20.
That's crazy.
Even their sliding glass doors do.
Even with those capillary tubes?
Do what? Yeah.
Even with those capillary tubes?
No, not with those puppies. But the TLK UV, that thing's a monster. It's a beast. It is. It's a beast. But again, it also comes at a price too, though. So if I was pitching against Provia and I was looking at their TLK UV, well, their TLK UV is going to have a better solar heat gain and U factor numbers than ours will. They're going to come in about 29% to 31% more energy efficient when you're looking at that. But the drawback to it, though, number one, is the blue glass, if you want to call it that they use, the low E coating is extremely dark. I mean, it's very dark. So at night, in the daytime, it's awesome. because it makes for great privacy. But at night, to see outside, you literally got to put your face up against the glass to look outside because you can't see shit, you know? And the other thing about it is it comes at a high price point. It does. Even if you're cheap selling that stuff, you're going to be somewhere between $1,800 and $2,100 a unit. And that's if you're cheap selling it. So it's an expensive product. So in that case there, if we're pitching against that, that's where we can turn the tables there, is on those couple things right there. Other than that, though, the window itself, it's a monster. So if you're ever having to sell that for certain reasons, like the black on black, if you're selling the black on black, hey, you're pushing a hell of a damn product, let me tell you. That's a hell of a product, you know? And they don't use a metal spacer. They, in fact, do use a polypropylene spacer for sure. You know? Whoa, out. No, I'm just messing with you.
Oh my God.
Come
I
on,
thought you were
you-
good. I was like, oh, I've never seen that.
What's up? I'm assuming you're Melody and not Zorro.
I might be.
Okay. So this is one of our JSPs. This is Melody. She is dressed up like Zorro today.
All right.
So my man Ryland got sick, started wearing a mask. All of a sudden, everybody's wearing masks now. So I'm going to start passing out some black paint for their eyes and pistols. And I'm going to start dropping people off at banks and liquor stores. You know? So anyway, all right, guys, look, unless we have any other questions, I'm going to get you guys out of here. We're on our time now. So we'll go into more tomorrow. Tomorrow, what I want to talk about is we're going to talk about fiberglass tomorrow. And we're also going to talk about vinyl. So on the vinyl windows we're going to talk about is we'll be talking about virgin vinyl. We'll be talking about a 60-40 split vinyl. And we'll be talking about reprocessed vinyl tomorrow. Okay. And if we can squeeze in aluminum, we're going to talk about aluminum. Primarily what I want to talk about is thermally broken windows. Milgard puts out a thermally broken window. I would imagine that you guys out there especially are probably running into that thermally broken window from time to time. If you don't, then we'll just cover it real quick and get out of Dodge with that. If you are, we'll get into a little more in depth on that. Okay. So you let me know tomorrow how that works. Very cool. Any questions, anybody? All right. See everybody tomorrow. Cam, be cool out there, brother. Are you getting the thingy?
No.
Well,
There you go.
there you go. There you go.